Good Friday morning, everybody, and welcome into the Ben and Woods program. We are missing someone. Yes, it's quite obvious if you're joining us on our YouTube stream or if you're a Tier 1 listener who knows the first voice you usually hear.
Yeah, get your heads right on a Friday, everybody.
Every morning. It's Woodsy. He is a little under the weather today. But I do have to my left our executive producer, very special guest, and today elevated to very special guest host, Paul Reindl. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, good morning. How are you? What was it, about 6:30, 7 o'clock yesterday? He told me at least earlier, he's like, yeah, I'm not feeling great. I'll let you know. And then, because you always want to try to make it in if you can grind through it. And you and I both were like, dude, just stay home. It's all good. We got you. We got you.
It's when you have kids in the young school age realm, it's unavoidable. You're just going to get every little bug that passes through every classroom in North County, San Diego, just makes its way through. So Fridays, it's not the worst day. I mean, from his perspective, there's no game last night to talk about. Yeah. He's got 3 days now to rest and get ready for Monday, when we'll have a whole bunch of things to talk about with the Padres in Pittsburgh. From his perspective, I can see this makes a lot of sense to take the day off. From your and my perspective, I'm looking down the barrel of 4 hours this morning going, all right, we got no Padres wrap up because they didn't play yesterday. Yeah. I could talk for about 3 minutes about the Clippers game last night. All right, well, what are we going to do? But fortunately, producer Paul has set up an excellent Friday show for us that will culminate this morning at 9 a.m. with the Skipper, the manager's report with Mike Shildt, coming up from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at 9 a.m. So,
what's up, my dudes? How you doing?
We should still have a good program today. I've already seen in the chat this morning someone looking forward to pie talk with Mike Shildt. I will ask him if that was a piece of pie I saw him with on Tuesday in the Padres clubhouse, and if so, what kind of pie was it?
I need to know at this point. We've talked about it so much. I have to know everything. I need to know his favorite types of pie. I want it all.
All right, because Woods is not here, we know what happens on the program when a host is missing. So, Paulie, let's get to the prank call. What do we got for us? What did you set up? Who were we calling?
Oh, was I supposed to do something?
Yeah, you got your drop board with all of the Woods drops. Let's pick up the phone and let's call. You know what? Here's a good idea. Let's call Primanti Brothers Sandwiches in Pittsburgh. They're famous French fries on a sandwich place. I've never had it because I've never been to Pittsburgh. And let's have Woods put in an order with your soundboard this morning. Is it that easy?
It's funny that you think it's that easy to do. Where when we find out the night before that somebody's gone, bro, you realize me and Woods, it takes us months to do your prank calls, weeks and months.
You collect all kinds of different. What do we have? Well, what do we have from Woods? Just give me. I mean, you have a file, right?
I have some drops.
What do we have to work with?
Well, I mean, okay, it's Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
I
related.
love Paul Skeens.
All right. Well, that's a great place to start if we're going to call Pittsburgh and Primanti Brothers Sandwiches.
I would say so. Let me see here. Let's go down.
Let's try. Let's just start with that. All right. I'll be working the register at Primanti Brothers. Phone rings. Hello, Primanti Brothers Sandwiches. Can I help you?
I love Paul Skeens.
Yeah, sure. I love him too. He's been fantastic. What can I get you sandwich wise? Would you like to place an order?
Excuse me.
Sorry. Okay. Well, that usually happens after you eat the sandwich, not before. But what would you like, sir?
Are you kidding me?
Oh, he's very angry on his prank calls.
I love Paul Skeens.
I know.
I don't get me wrong. I love Paul Skeens. He has some videos on Instagram that I lie in bed at night and I show my son.
That's very creepy, sir. I guess you don't want a sandwich then. Okay.
I don't say it twice, dude.
You haven't said it once. What you want? Yeah, you haven't even said it once.
Shut the up.
Very rude. Very rude. I'm calling my manager, sir, and you are no longer welcome at this establishment.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not.
I touch myself.
This call is over.
Oh, God. Oh, yes. I love Paul Skeens.
You're right. We probably should not actually do the prank call with Woods. It could spark a national incident.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Based on what
Yes, I am the throat goat.
The guy from Monty Brothers wants to know who's pitching tonight for the Padres.
Yeah. Dylan Thief.
Oh, well, it's true. Dylan Thief will be on the mound tonight for the San Diego Padres. We will We will not see Paul Skeens in the series coming up this weekend.
That's the most uncomfortable call. That would be the worst prank call of all time. Your drops are funny. You're talking about,
loose cannabis.
Everybody
must get
stoned. And then you're talking Lakers or San Diego State football in your prank calls, and Woods is just screaming and berating this poor high school kid that's just trying to make a few bucks.
I know. I would feel bad if we actually put someone through that when they were just trying to get through their day in Pittsburgh this morning. So anyway, we do have 4 hours for you. We'll try to get.
Elisa asked in the chat earlier if Woods went to a Fish concert last night.
Like
I'm guessing the answer is no to that, by the way. I don't know if they were even in San Diego. I don't know where they're touring at right now. Guessing even if they were here. Guessing if they were even playing in Encinitas, Woods probably would not have been there.
Chris in the chat says, Ben is really forcing this, LOL. That's what happens in Foreplay when Woods isn't here. Has everybody noticed that Woods kind of takes the reins during Foreplay, that's his segment to kind of stretch out? Honestly, Woods created the Foreplay segment mostly out of necessity because he doesn't feel he doesn't feel like he can do the show and just jump right in and start talking about Padres or whatever the top story is. Most shows, Paul, would just jump in with whatever the biggest story of the day is right off the top. That's right. Kind of Radio 101. All right, well, we're in San Diego. Well, if the Padres played last night, jump in the first 2 minutes. You welcome everybody, and then what's our top story today? Well, the San Diego Padres are our top story today. Let's get right into it in the first segment. And Woods never felt comfortable just diving in head first to a show. He has to have his warm-up period at the beginning.
And I've grown to very much understand, love, and appreciate that method. I do think it's important to, we have a 4-hour show. If we had a 3-hour show, you could probably make the argument hey, we got to get right to things a little bit quicker here. We got a 4-hour canvas with no game last night to talk about. So we've got plenty of time. I like getting warmed up, hitting Padres hard at 6:30 usually every morning. Now, if we were in a different day part, I also think it's part of your schedule and where you're at in the mornings. Going from 6 to 6:15, 6:20 every morning, just nice and loose, trying to provide some laughs or entertainment. I think that's the way to go. Now, if we did middays or something, if we started at noon, I think no. People, everyone's awake, everyone's listening now. Let's get to the top stories, and then maybe have some goofy stuff later on in the show. I
will fully admit that when he kind of pushed this initially, my first reaction was, let's push back a little bit. That doesn't seem like a good idea. There's time later.
How about that?
There's time later in the show, Woods, to be loose and talk about some other fun stuff. But right off the bat, you want to give the audience what they came for. We're the Padres station. Let's give them what they came for right off the bat. As it has gone on, I have to admit, I think Foreplay is a genius way to start the show. It's, we still get to talk Padres coming up. We will have all of our top stories. And as you said, with 4 hours to fill every morning, you don't want to run out of the chute too fast. The Kentucky Derby is tomorrow. The horse who sprints right out of the gate and takes the lead by, 5 lengths, it never makes it to the end of the race. They always get caught. You have to kind of ease your way into the race a little bit, and then you get warmed up, and then you start charging hard, and then at the tape, you take the title at the end.
Yeah, it's the right night, woman's feeling good. You don't just rip off your pants and go right for it. Right?
Because then it's over.
You got 4 hours in some people's cases.
Don't think it's ever been 4 hours.
No.
No.
Okay.
But Yeah, you definitely have to.
There's got to be a little bit of a.
Can we talk about the Kentucky Derby today? Chris wants to know. What do you want to know? Journalism is the horse to beat at the Kentucky Derby tomorrow, from what I
Kentucky
understand.
Derby talk than I thought we were going to get today.
Beyond that, I don't have a lot of Kentucky Derby takes for you. I already did a Kentucky Derby real or fake yesterday, and no one could remember any of the horses that won the Kentucky Derby in the last few years, which is, it's a bad sign. There's no more American Pharaohs out there. So maybe journalism will rescue the sport and win the Triple Crown, but I don't think we're going to be talking a lot of Kentucky Derby on the program this morning. We will, however, be talking Padres baseball. In fact, we've got a special guest coming up this hour. I'll set the menu coming up in our next segment, but I want to let everybody know that at the bottom of the hour, we will be joined by Apple TV, Major League Baseball, dugout reporter Tricia Whitaker, who's going to be one of the people calling the game tonight. Yeah, it's not a Don and Mud game. Not a Don and Mud game tonight in Pittsburgh. It's an Apple TV, first one of the season for the Padres. And Tricia used to be the sideline reporter for the Rays, now full-time with Apple. And we will get just some insight on the broadcast and how that's going. Is this the third season now with Apple?
That sounds about right.
I think that maybe the third season with Apple TV games on Fridays.
I've really enjoyed the broadcasts. The broadcasters are fine. It's usually hit or miss depending on who's part of the show or part of the game that night. I've loved the display. Like, it's visually pleasing. I like the fun facts that the Padres have actually, to their credit, tried to add a few more of those to their home broadcasts. I've always been a fan of Apple TV broadcasts. The games have been great. And yeah, I mean, I was watching on Instagram yesterday, Jesse Agler, and I'm assuming he wasn't by himself, but they all went to the Pirates game.
I saw that.
On their day off.
I saw he was Instagram. He went to see Paul Skeens take on the Cubs and actually lose to the Cubs yesterday. Had maybe his worst start so far as a professional. Gave up 3 home runs in the game, and the Pirates lost to the Cubs 8-3 on Paul Skeens' day yesterday.
And I thought that makes sense because tonight is not an off night for Jesse. Jesse and Tony will still be in the radio booth, and you can even sync up your Apple TV broadcast,
which is a
fantastic
feature. I won't mention that when Tricia's on because obviously that would be insulting.
You want people to listen to her too.
But Padres fans, keep in mind that you can do that, and my experience has been it's been perfect. They line it up perfectly. So if you go to your secondary audio program on your Apple, if you have Apple TV Plus tonight, you click on visiting radio broadcast, and you will get to hear Jesse and Tony, and it'll sync up perfectly with the visuals of the game. No pausing on the Odyssey app or anything necessary to make that work, which is really cool. Now, if you want to maybe, look a little bit at the Apple TV broadcast, switch over back to the Padres radio broadcast. Certainly you can do that. Just get a flavor for it. But
visually at home, like, it's a great presentation.
Oh, yeah.
And I do wish every once in a while there's like NBC sports games or like on the Roku app or something. There's been times where the national broadcast for those one-off games have pulled the team's home television broadcasters as well. One of them from each team. Like, how great would it be to have Mud as one of the color analysts for tonight's game on Apple, since he's off anyways? Have the Apple TV, I think it's Rich Waltz does play-by-play for them.
And Ryan Spielborgs, I think, is the analyst tonight.
Have one Apple TV Plus play-by-play broadcaster, and then have the Pittsburgh Pirates color commentator and Mark Grant both in the booth, so you get a little bit of flavors from both teams during the game. You get a little more accurate information, a little more insight.
Yeah, I have liked that when I've seen that a couple of times when they've pulled Mud in to do those games. One thing that I really think is underrated that I like about Apple, though, is that they don't have to cross-promote their other sports content. When you're on ESPN, it's all about pushing to the Sports Center and all the other content. They don't have
Alabama spring football.
Yeah,
game.
Well, whatever. But I mean, they don't have to tie it into everything else. It's just, it's the broadcast essentially. I mean, I'm sure they'll have a promo for, Severance or something at some point because it's Apple TV Plus, but it's not with ESPN. Sometimes it feels like just a 3-hour marketing campaign for everything else that they have going on instead of just about the game. But I do feel like when it's Apple, it's kind of solidly about the game. It's a good presentation. The video quality is as good as you are going to get. As you said, the the little stats and factoids that they throw up there.
Probabilities, percentages.
Yeah, interesting, but not too obtrusive. I think if you don't want to look at them, you can just kind of ignore them.
I like the hit probability changes with every pitch.
It does.
It's fantastic.
And who knows exactly how accurate they are, but it gives you kind of a sense of what's going on in the game at any point when you're picking it up. So, we will talk to Tricia Whitaker, Apple TV. She also happens to be a journalism, media, TV instructor, lecturer at the University of Indiana, which I thought is interesting. You're giving back already to the youngsters of the world who are trying to get into this difficult profession of sports media.
Ask her what everybody asks us. Hey, what would you say to somebody that wants to get in this industry?
Well, here's the irony, because I actually later this morning, I have, is it Indiana? Kansas. A kid, Ryan, from the University of Kansas wants to interview me. He's a journalism major in sports media from San Diego.
Nice.
And wants to just, as a project or some sort of paper to write, and needs to talk to someone in the business. So I'm setting up a Zoom with him later this morning to talk about sports media, which I don't really know that much about, honestly. If I'm really telling the truth, after 20 years, I still really don't know how this business works. I don't think Woods does either. Neither of us has figured out at all how this business works. So anyway, that's your foreplay for, modified with Paulie and me. We'll set the rest of the menu for after Tricia
Yes, I
Whitaker.
am the throat goat.
Thank you, throat goat. And we will come back with more Bennett Woods on a Friday. Tier 1s, thanks for joining us on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. If you're looking for something fun to kick up your sports weekend, though, how about downloading the Prize Picks app and joining more than 10 million members across the country who are making daily fantasy sports fun and accessible for everybody. It's really easy. You just pick more or less on between 2 and 6 players, put them into your daily fantasy lineup for your chance to win up to 2,000 times your cash now by running your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can be watching baseball tonight. Pick some of your favorite players from our team. Manny Machado, 1.5 hits plus runs batted in, or Fernando Tatis Jr. You could do like 1/2 home run, increase your odds. Home runs are a little more difficult, but you could actually boost up your odds for your daily fantasy lineups that way. Combine them with other teams, combine them with other sports, basketball playoffs. You're watching those tonight. You can put those in as well with your favorite players. As you're playing Prize Picks, it is easy to download the app. And when you do, use the code KWFN because you're going to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's with code KWFN at Prize Picks. $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. And today, Flex Friday, make sure you opt in, tap the checkbox in your lineup builder to be eligible for a protected play where put together a lineup, you don't win, just get your money back. I've done that a million times. Why not take advantage of it? Absolutely free play on a Friday with Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Let's get our first check of traffic with Kelly Danick here on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Special good morning to the tier ones that I ran into last night. There were a bunch of them, Paulie. After work, now that I work more during the days at Channel 10, I stopped by the Regal Seagull in Leucadia, where my wife works. They were celebrating their 12-year anniversary of their opening dozen years ago, and they had a ton of people there, including a bunch of tier ones. Saw Justin, saw Alex, who I had not met before. He said he played basketball quite often with my brother and AJ Preller up in the Encinitas area. Loves the show, though. Says hello to you as well, Paulie. A couple others came up to me and said hello last night as well. So people having a good time on a Thursday night up in the Leucadia area. And it was good to see you out there last night. Again, if you're just joining us,
there, maybe he had too much to
yeah,
drink,
it's
and that's
possible.
why
I did not see
well
Woods there. Yeah, if you're just joining us, Woods under the weather this morning. Should be hopefully right as rain by Monday, but we will get through the next 3 hours and 34 minutes without him. But we do have a good show planned. As I mentioned, Tricia Whitaker is coming up in just a couple of minutes. As for the rest of the menu, we will talk some Padres baseball. New piece dropped from Kevin Acee yesterday about Xander Bogaerts trying to figure it out. And I definitely am sensing some Xander Bogaerts fatigue in the fan base right now. But I will say, Paulie, and we can talk about this, at least he's trying to figure it out. You know, every baseball player goes through some struggles, and I empathize with Xander because I think we've all had that moment in our lives where it's just not going well, and we just throw stuff on a wall and just see what's going to stick.
Yeah.
And he seems like he's kind of in that phase right now. Now, he's a talented enough player that maybe something will stick, but right now he's trying to go back to, like, what worked for him in Boston and working with Victor Rodriguez, but an interesting piece, and we can talk a little bit about Xander Bogaerts. We will have our Friday feature with Darren Smith. Now, if you follow Darren on Instagram, you might notice he is a long way from home right now.
Yeah.
He is in Spain and went and checked out his favorite professional soccer team, Barcelona. FC Barcelona. I believe they're competing in the Champions League right now.
Incredible.
In Europe. And I would love to hear more about that experience. And we can talk also about the SDFC game that is coming up tomorrow as they host FC Dallas at Snapdragon Stadium.
Did Darren Smith visit a nude beach yesterday?
I think the answer
find out.
is possibly yes.
I also
So apparently he's dealing with siesta time right now in Spain as well.
Oh my God!
We've heard a little bit about that from AJ over the years, but
he texted me this morning and he just said, it was like 5 o'clock or whatever, a couple hours before we were going to have him on, and he's like, "Hey, I should still be fine, but I don't know that I can do the video stream and join you guys because we haven't checked into our hotel yet because the place just closed for siesta, but they closed early. It's usually at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They closed at 1 o'clock. They got there at 1:05 with all their luggage, and they're just like chilling right now somewhere in Spain because every business closes for several hours for siesta.
Can you imagine if
which is the greatest idea I've ever heard.
I know,
of.
but can you also imagine if you had to go to the grocery store and you just needed to pick up a couple of things and it's 2 in the afternoon and you go, oh, they're closed for 3 hours because everyone's taking a nap in the afternoon. But we'll have Darren Smith joining us from Spain.
I'm fascinated by that aspect.
At 7:35, 8 o'clock hour. There's a new controversy apparently in Major League Baseball. I bet you don't know about this one, but I saw it yesterday. So we'll talk about that. And then 9 o'clock, the Managers Report with Mike Shildt, and he will join us ahead of the 3-game series and 9-game road trip that starts for your San Diego Padres at 3:40 today in Pittsburgh as Dylan Cease takes the mound, I believe, against Mitch Keller in the first game of the series. No, Bailey Falter is the first. No, Mitch Keller. I had it right the first time. First game of the series tonight. So we'll get to all of that, but let's take a timeout because when we come back, game again is on Apple TV tonight. Tricia Whitaker is the sideline dugout reporter for Apple TV. She will join us from Pittsburgh coming up next year with Ben and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. First, though, I want to tell you about Trust and Will. I can do this without Woods. We both went through the process over the holidays. Both of us either at 50 or approaching 50. I guess we're both still approaching it, but it's something that, probably had thought about 100 times over the last 10 years. Yeah, I need to get that done, but I'm just kept putting it off. Like, I don't want to go to a lawyer's office. With Trust and Will, it's so simple. You don't have to go into anybody's office. You don't have to pay billable hours. You simply answer a few simple questions online, and at the end of the process, 20 minutes or so, you have legal documents that they will ship out to you. A will, where you can specify things you want to leave to your loved ones, or maybe even more importantly, a trust, where you put your assets in that trust and avoid a lot of hassle of probate court when you're gone, that your family may have to pay fees, may have to wait 9 to 18 months to get a hold of some of those assets. The court ends up deciding a lot of what happens if you don't decide now, but you can do that at trustandwill.com. Again, go to the website, answer the questions, then use the code FAN at checkout, F-A-N. You're going to get 20% off your documents and free shipping to your home. Then you have them, put them in your safe, put them in a filing cabinet somewhere. Hopefully you don't have to think about them for a while. Just get it done. It's the peace of mind that you're really after at an affordable price, and you can do that by going to trustandwill.com. That's trustandwill.com.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Don't forget, stay tuned later this morning at 9 a.m. for the Manager's Report with Mike Shildt. He will join us from Pittsburgh, PA, refreshed by Eco Water SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. Eco Water SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. But we're going to go to Pittsburgh much earlier. In fact, we're going to do so right now as we welcome to the program Tricia Whitaker from Apple Plus. She is going to be the reporter in the dugouts tonight for the Padres-Pirates game. First Apple TV game of the season for your San Diego Padres, and Tricia joins us here on 97.3 The Fan. Tricia, you're on with Ben and Paul in San Diego. Appreciate your time this morning.
Anytime, you guys, anytime. I'm excited to have the Padres. We've got them a few times in the first half on Apple TV, so I'm pretty pumped about that.
So I'm curious, because we were talking about, we both love the look, the presentation of these Apple TV games that we've seen the past couple of seasons. It looks like a lot of work goes into, maybe even more so than kind of a normal Major League Baseball broadcast. What's the process like in putting together these weekly games for Apple TV?
I would 100% agree with you on that. A lot of work goes into this broadcast, the quality of the broadcast, especially in terms of, and I always say this, in terms of the cameras and stuff like that. I mean, the visual of it is pretty incredible. Last year in Pittsburgh, we had a drone flying over the stadium. I mean, the cameras that Apple gives us are like state of the art. So it's pretty incredible. And we have the luxury of just having one game a week, whereas the regional sports network level, they have to do it every single day. And we all know what's happening at the regional level right now, right? Budgets are being cut, and that means cameras are getting cut, and that means producers are getting cut. And the quality of broadcast at the regional level is struggling right now. But with Apple TV, we have the luxury of that not really happening. And it's been really, really cool to see what we can do with some state-of-the-art equipment and some great broadcasters from around the league. That's what I feel like people sometimes, at the beginning of Apple TV, they would say, well, we miss our regional sports broadcasters. Okay, well, the people broadcasting the Apple TV games are broadcasters in baseball, and we have been for years and years, and former players. So it's cool to have a cast of characters that are actively in baseball or have played baseball. It's been so much fun.
Now, later this morning, I'm going to ask Mike Shildt, we have him on Fridays, about doing these games, because they're always a little bit different. There's, you'll be there, so there's usually some of the in-game stuff, and I don't know what you have planned for tonight, but I always wondered how that feels. Is it awkward? You're in the middle of the game, and they have you interview a player or a manager while the game is going on. I mean, what is really the process of that like?
I feel like I get that question a lot, but let me just say this. The managers are awesome. And at this point, I've been doing Apple now for 4 years. They're so used to me. I'll walk in their office. They'll be like, it's Trish. Guess that means I got to do an interview in the third inning. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Mike. But they are so cooperative about it. And they really are good about it. And here's the thing. Here is the thing. I appreciate managers and players who understand, yes, it is a serious game, and I totally get that, but it is also the entertainment business. It is good for baseball, for fans at home, to hear from a player or a manager during the game. It just is. It's good for the entertainment value of it, and we need more of that in baseball. The game is slow. I love the game. I love it, but by nature, it is slow. So if we can mix in a couple of those things, get a guy on headset, and have him talk to us during the game, like a starting pitcher who's not starting that day, or an in-game interview with a manager, because I remember when Albert Pujols, this is the one in-game interview I always point to, Albert Pujols hit his 700th home run at Dodger Stadium in 2022. Literally like in half an inning after he hit it, I had a one-on-one interview in-game with Ollie Marmol, and he was so good about it. And that was just immediate reaction that the fans got in the middle of the live broadcast. It's invaluable. And I love it when managers are willing to play ball with that. Mike's one of them. And it's really been great.
They're not all Bill Belichick. We're talking to Tricia Whitaker, who's one of the reporters for Apple TV. Got the Padres-Pirates game tonight. Tricia, storylines for tonight's game. I'm sure you guys would have loved if they had bumped Paul Skeens a day and you could have done the Paul Skeens show, but you missed him by a day. Now, there was a terrible national story at PNC Park earlier this week with that fan and the video of him falling off the railing. I don't know what you're going to do about that, if anything, but what kind of storylines are you looking into tonight's game? Padres obviously have been a big story the last couple of years nationally, probably for the first time in our Padres fan franchise history the last few years.
Yeah, well, certainly our thoughts are with that fan and his family. I haven't seen an update yet on that, but we are certainly thinking about him because that really, truly was a tragic situation. But tonight, yeah, I mean, I think the story, you mentioned Paul Skeens. We were kind of praying for a rain delay yesterday, or a rain cancellation yesterday of the game so that Skeens would get bumped to our day. But, the stars did not align there. But yeah, tonight, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I do enjoy the Pirates, but I am really looking forward to seeing the Padres tonight. They are a fun team to cover. We had them on Apple last season a lot. I know, they got off to a really, really hot start and recently have cooled down a little bit, experiencing a little bit of a power outage on offense, largely because of, the injury bug. The lineup that they rolled out opening day and the lineup they've been rolling out recently doesn't look quite the same. But listen, when healthy, the Padres lineup is among the absolute best in baseball. Their bullpen has arguably been the team MVP this season. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing what this team can do despite some of the injuries that they have experienced. You want to see Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts start to get hot a little bit. I know Tatis has really been the big star producing during this stretch without most of their top stars in the lineup from the injury bug. But that's really what I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to seeing if, they can kind of get back on track in the midst of this tough stretch, because in my opinion, that's what makes a good team great. And the Padres are a very good team, but in a rough stretch, how quickly can you come out of it? And how quickly can you overcome some of these key injuries? And I would like to see that, because I love watching the Padres, and I love, we're coming to San Diego for an Apple game. I think it's in June, and I love that stadium. I love those fans. So I'm a big Padres fan at heart. Don't tell the Pirates.
Talking to Tricia Whitaker here on Ben and Woods this morning. She'll be part of the Apple TV broadcast for the Padres game later this afternoon. Now, Tricia, just kind of on that same note, I don't believe you've covered the Padres a ton. We have a lot of personalities, a lot of exciting players, a lot of fun players. If you get like one chance, and I know you have chances to talk to multiple players, but if you had one chance to talk with one guy to get a story for today's game, I'm curious who the most intriguing player in your mind is.
Oh, come on. You know the answer to that question.
I mean,
Fernando Tatis. Tatis Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that is, obviously anybody at home's like, duh, it's going to be Tatis. But I would love to sit down. What I would love to do with Tatis is just sit down and pick his brain for like a long one-on-one interview for like 30 minutes and just figure out a lot of different things about him. But he's an electric player to watch, and I think I will be interviewing him today if everything works out for that. So that'll be fun. Also, I'm a huge fan of Luis Ariz. Who isn't a huge fan of Luis Ariz? So I'm looking forward to chatting with him. I covered him, when he was with the Twins and with the Marlins, and he's just such an all-around great guy, and he's always smiling, and I just love that guy. So those are the two guys that I would definitely choose. Big fan of Xander Bogaerts as well. Covered him, obviously in the AL East for a long time. I know that, he's in a tough stretch right now, but I would love to chat with him a little bit and catch up, but probably those three. But I mean, yeah, Tatis is the top one. I know all of his history. I know everything that's happened, but at the end of the day, that could feel good for the game, and I love the way that he plays.
Well, and hopefully next time on Apple TV, the next Padres game, we'll have Jackson Merrill in that lineup too.
Yeah, we better.
It's not impossible that he's there today. We'll ask Mike Shildt. He won't tell us, but I mean, he's close.
Exactly.
He's close to coming back.
I love when you have to ask managers questions that you're like, I know you're not giving me the answer to this. And if you do, it's going to be a load of BS. But they can't give you the answer because that's just how it goes. But, oh, man, that drives me nuts. And I know it drives the fans nuts, too.
I know you have to ask me, my man. But, yeah, we're not going to tell you that. I know what I'm getting later this morning from Mike Shildt. Before you go, we're talking to Tricia Whitaker. I also saw that you give back to the youth of sports media. You're a lecturer at Indiana. What's a Tricia Whitaker sports media class like?
Oh, it's the best. So I've been teaching at IU actually for 9 years now. So right now I'm teaching 3 courses. So I'm teaching 3 courses at Indiana University at the media school. And then I'm doing Apple TV on Friday nights and some other things when the fall rolls around. But yeah, so my class is basically, I throw them right into the fire, let me tell you. So they have to go cover all sorts of stuff. They got to go cover Big Ten football games. They got to go cover Big Ten basketball games. I throw them in studio every single Wednesday. I don't give them a script. There's nothing in the teleprompter. And they just have to anchor highlights for a solid 3 minutes.
Wow.
So I toss it. Yeah, it's the best. But my students at the IU Media School are literally the absolute best. So that's a little piece of what I also have them do sit down in studio interviews with a lot of different guests. I'll bring athletes in. I bring guest speakers in all the time. Jeff Passan has come in to guest speak. Joe Davis, Kevin Burkhardt, Ken Rosenthal, all those guys. So I throw them into the fire and we get them used to it because this industry is not nice when you get out into it. So I got to teach them how to handle that. And I don't sugarcoat. That's what they always say. My students are like, you're so intimidating, but you also are very constructively critical, and we love it. I'm hey, I'm just trying to get you ready for the real world.
You know our buddy Ryan Phillips, Rumors and Rants at Sports Illustrated? He's our Hoosier here in San Diego, who's in the sports media business.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
So.
I've never had a chance to chat with him, but yeah, I do. That's awesome. When did he graduate? I wonder if we overlap. That's a good question.
Yeah, I was wondering. You might. I'm not exactly sure how old Ryan is, but I felt like you at least must have some similar people in your circles. Well, Tricia, I'm looking forward to the broadcast tonight. Appreciate you giving us some time this morning, and I'm glad you'll be secretly rooting for the Padres because I know Padres fans will appreciate that.
Man, I'm gonna get in so much trouble for that. Oh boy, Derek Shelton's gonna look at me when I walk in his office today. He's gonna be like, Trish, thought we were cool. And I'm gonna be like,
you got to keep your Shelton and your Shildt all together, and make sure you don't mispronounce any of those because that could be a problem.
You just cursed me. You realize that, right? Now it's gonna happen, and now I'm gonna go viral. I'm going to be an awful announcing tomorrow morning, and when they ask for a comment, I'm going to blame you.
Well, that's fine. Tricia, thank you so much. That was fun.
Anytime. See you guys.
Tricia Whitaker from Apple TV. Again, she'll be on the broadcast tonight for Padres Pirates. And Paulie, she's right about one thing, and I actually something that I am looking forward about for this broadcast, and I will share it with you right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Crash is cleared on southbound 5 past the Alyssa Creek Rest area, but we still have this other accident on the coastline up ahead before Harbor Drive. Vehicle went over the right shoulder embankment, so watch out for a little activity there. Even some debris reported in lane South 5 right before Harbor Drive. Fortunately, no other problems on our roads. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So what's different about this national TV broadcast for the Padres tonight is usually when the Padres are on national TV, and they've been on quite a bit more the last couple of seasons because, well, more compelling storylines, better players, more wins. You're going to see them more often.
And more options than just the one Sunday night baseball.
Right, but usually it's still against the Dodgers or the Mets or the Braves, and the broadcast always tends to still lean somewhat heavily toward the opponent and all of their storylines because they come from bigger cities and bigger markets. So they cater the broadcast to that city's audience just a little bit more. And I'm not saying that they're biased, but and I do the same thing if I was an executive running the show. Like, oh yeah, Dodgers are all right. We'll do 70% Dodgers stuff, and we'll do like 30% Padres stuff. This game tonight is the opposite. The Padres are the big draw and story for this game. The Pirates, I mean, I'm sure they will talk about some of their stories, and they will talk to Derek Shelton and O'Neal Cruz, but the Padres will probably get the lion's share, the 70% side of the coverage tonight on Apple TV. So it will be a different feeling than a lot of the national TV games that we're used to seeing with the San Diego Padres participating.
I mean, there are so many more. I guess I'm obviously biased. I have to think that there are just so many more interesting storylines with the Padres. As a contender, you go down the roster, it's like you could talk to Manny Machado, you could talk to Fernando Tatis Jr., you could talk hitting with Luis Ariz, you could talk pitching with Michael King, one of these elite bullpen pitchers. Like, there are so many more, I would think, nationally appealing. And the Pirates have a couple of guys. Obviously, Paul Skeens. I wonder if he's going to be included somehow in the broadcast tonight with him just pitching yesterday.
And they probably thought, when they were putting the schedule together, all right, Paul Skeens, Pirates probably get off to maybe a surprising start. People will be talking about him. It hasn't really worked out for them. They're 12-20. They have the second worst record in the National League, ahead of only the Colorado Rockies. So this really is kind of the Padres show tonight on Apple TV, and you'll get that kind of different national perspective of the game when you tune in at 3:40. But again, if you don't want that, you can always just flip the audio over to Jesse and Tony on the secondary audio channel.
Mic players up for
I
Apple
think
TV?
they occasionally do. I feel like they have in the past. I don't need it, but
I don't know if they'll go with the home team and the Pirates, or the more interesting team, the road team, the Padres.
If I know how television executives think, they don't care who the home team is. They only care what the best stories are.
Look, you throw a mic on Andrew McCutchen. If I have to listen to somebody be mic'd up during the field, Andrew McCutchen's not the worst.
They might do one from each team in different innings as well. They've done that on national broadcasts as well. So yeah,
they've had some interesting players.
But. And I think tonight, and we'll look more at tonight's game later in the show. But Dylan Cease, how he kind of bounces back. He's not, again, he hasn't been bad, but he certainly has not delivered the way you would expect Dylan Cease to deliver so far this season.
Dylan Thief.
And, the Padres need Dylan Cease to get locked in. Michael King and Nick Pivetta have been so good so far this season, and Dylan Cease, has not. He's been mediocre at best. He's 1-2 with a 5.76 ERA. And those numbers are actually probably worse than I think he's pitched.
I would agree, yeah.
But still, the numbers are the numbers. And, Dylan Cease has got to throw strikes. He walked 4 his last time out. He just needs to find whatever it is that is just been slightly off for him so far this season. And when he does, and with Yu Darvish, trending toward returning possibly even later this month, the Padres could have the makings of a now very formidable starting rotation. We didn't know what they'd have with Nick Pivetta when he signed. I kind of thought, it would take a while for Nick Pivetta to, get the magic of Ruben Niebla and locked in.
I wasn't thinking all-star.
Yeah, I mean, it has been instantaneous. He has turned into a top-of-the-rotation type guy. Michael King, I think yesterday was ranked, I was watching MLB Network, had him as the number 4 starting pitcher in all of baseball as they were doing their, monthly rankings. Pivetta was also on that list of the top 25. I think it was around 17 or 18. Dylan Cease wasn't on the list. He should be on the list of top 25 pitchers in baseball. A normal Dylan Cease season, he's a top 15 type guy in all of baseball for sure. Cy Young votes, he was fourth in the Cy Young voting last year. He's not there right now. So that's one thing that the Padres have been missing a little bit so far this season, and we'll see how Dylan Cease performs tonight against, a lineup that, there's a couple dangerous batters, but you as a pitcher certainly can navigate your way through a Pittsburgh Pirates lineup if you're on your game. You're not walking guys. You're not giving out some freebies. This is the kind of game that I would expect Dylan Cease to have a chance to, get right with and hopefully, build some momentum, because he'll get a couple of starts on this road trip, and then, he gets going That's a big thing for the San Diego Padres. So we'll talk about all of that coming up. I do want to talk about the new Xander Bogaerts piece that dropped from Kevin Acee in the UT yesterday. He's a very honest guy. I don't know if that always serves Xander Bogaerts well, but he will tell you what's going on in that head of his.
Too honest, maybe?
Maybe a little bit. That is coming up next with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 2, Ben and Paul on a Friday morning, Tier 1s. Thank you for joining us. Woodsy, under the weather, should be back on Monday when we have an entire 3-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates to discuss. And I just hope, Paulie, I hope Xander Bogaerts has a good series. Obviously had the home run and the RBI earlier this week, and then went 0 for 4 in the game following it. So I don't think you can take too much away from that. But I feel for him. I really do. I feel for Xander Bogaerts because I think we forget, and maybe Padres fans don't totally even remember how good of a player he was with the Boston Red Sox. I mean, he was truly one of the big stars all of baseball.
Yeah.
5 Silver Slugger awards in 8 seasons. Silver Sluggers, of course, go to the best hitter at their position in a league in a given year. So 5 of his 8 years, he was the best hitting shortstop in the American League. And when the Padres signed him to the $25 million a year contract that will run for the better part of the next decade, I don't think they truly expected him to continue with that kind of performance the whole time. And they were okay with that. They didn't need the best hitter in the league every single year at shortstop. They anticipated a little bit of a drop-off for a few years, and then probably a bigger drop-off in the last couple of years of the deal. But that was okay. For that price, they were more than willing to take
a couple of years of a drop-off after at least a few years of being Boston's Xander Bogaerts.
Of being pretty close to Boston's Xander Bogaerts, yes.
Yeah, I don't think they expected the drop-off in years 1 and 2.
And that is the crux of the new piece that dropped yesterday from Kevin Acee, which he goes through some of the numbers and how good Xander was and how not good he's been with the San Diego Padres. Now, there have been good stints, and Kevin points it out that he has had a couple of good, 60, 70 game stints. In 2023, Bogaerts hit .321 with an .847 OPS over his final 71 games after returning from a cortisone injection in his left wrist during the All-Star break. That's solid. That's absolutely great. And, we'd all sign up for that right now. Last year, 2 months on the IL with a fractured left shoulder, came back, hit .299 with a .770 OPS over his final 64 games. Not quite all-star level, but very good. And again, at this point, I think something that Padres fans would happily take from Xander Bogaerts right now, who is, struggling more in the 230 to 240 range with the 1 home run, has only driven in about 8 runs this season, and that's after having 3 this week. It has just been a struggle for Xander Bogaerts to stay healthy, which is part of it, but also is find his swing, and that really is where the piece kind of gets into in the second half. All the tinkering and work that he's done to try to find it, and I appreciate how much he tries to find it. Kevin says he is one of the big guys who really will look and make as many changes as he can to try to find what's working. And he said before last season, actually worked with like a new guy. He didn't say what it was, but they really were working on pulling the ball, like getting some more of that power back after a disappointing first season. I thought, okay, we're going to really lock in. We're going to pull the ball more with more power. And then he started with the season last year, and it didn't work at all. He couldn't hit the ball to right field. The power wasn't working to left field. It was disastrously bad. And he had a quote in here that kind of surprised me, maybe the most surprising quote of the whole thing. He said, people might not want to hear this, but the shoulder injury was actually the best thing that could have happened to me. I will say this. If I did not get hurt, I would not have hit more than 230. My season was bad, but it still ended good. It would have been a disaster if I did not get hurt because it just wasn't going for me, and I was continuing to do it. So what is Xander Bogaerts doing now to try to get going? Well, he's trying to turn back the clock. And Victor Rodriguez, who's the Padres hitting coach, Paulie, was the actual Red Sox minor league hitting coordinator when Xander was coming up in the minor leagues. So Xander said he's the guy who really gave me my first swing that got me to the big leagues and turned me into a star player. So they're really trying to go back and figure out, well, what was it that made you so good back then? And let's get back to doing that. And that's what they're working on right now with Xander Bogaerts. But obviously, whatever it is has not fully clicked in. He thinks he's getting closer. He actually even said about the 0-for-4 game, he hit that hard line drive. He said, I thought I had better swings that game, maybe even better than the home run game. That's the weird thing about baseball. Sometimes the results come and sometimes they don't. Do you trust the process? Do you feel like you're going in the right direction? And, Xander right now does feel like he's moving in the right direction. The question is, how patient are fans going to be? And, how patient is Xander going to be? Because when you have a bad week, even if you think you're doing the right thing, really hard not to hit the panic button and, start making more changes. I think of Jurickson Profar last year. Didn't get mentioned in this piece, but Jurickson, of course, had best season of his career. And how many times did he say, what I'm doing differently this year is I'm doing nothing. I am simply sticking with one thing, and I'm not making any changes at all. I'm just going to do my swing, and it'll work sometimes and it won't. But I'm not going to have 4 bad days and then go into the lab and work on my, my step or work on where my hands are placed. I'm a good big league hitter, and I'm just going to trust that. And it sounds like Xander's trying to lean in that direction now. Will it work? I don't know. So. I do too.
I hope so. You talk about the patience, as a player, you can go 0-for-3, 0-for-4, and still feel actually fairly locked in. Maybe you had some bad luck. Maybe you're just like, I'm right on this guy. I'm feeling good. I feel confident at the plate. I just didn't get the results. You could also run into one and get lucky and be like, that felt good, but everything still feels like a mess right now. And the players can have that patience to be like, no, I'm feeling pretty good. Everything feels locked in. I feel dialed in. It's going to come around. Just got to be patient. It's a lot harder for fans to be patient. It's a lot harder for me when I'm watching those games and seeing these moments to be patient, because it's been, a couple years now.
And Xander said, especially earlier in his career, hearing the boos from Red Sox fans when he struggled as a rookie, that was a shock to him. That was hard for him. I think he doesn't care quite as much anymore now, and maybe that's a good thing, because if you're trying to stick with something and you have to stick with it even when it's not working, after 2 years, he's gonna start hearing it. He's already starting to hear it a little bit from Padres fans. But some of these changes are fairly new. In fact, some of them are just a few days ago. He said in the piece, a couple of days ago, if I was doing what I was doing, there was no chance I would have gotten that home run. So he feels like right away something he did differently has helped and has got him in a better place so far. He said the foul ball I hit in that same at bat, I took the same swing I was taking prior, the wrong one. And then he was like, okay, no, now I switched and got the right swing, and he hit the home run off of it. So he felt good about being able to change mid at bat, make the adjustments. I mean, I always look, because I'm a golfer. It's weird. You can hit 5 holes in a row. You hit a drive right down the middle, and then you blast one 40 yards right, and you go, well, what did I do? What did I change? What did I do differently? It's very subtle. It's very different. And when you're trying to make changes, it's so easy to go back to the things that weren't working, because your body gets those feels. I mean, you play baseball enough, Paulie, that, when you feel like your swing is locked in, and then all of a sudden, what happened? Why am I not doing it anymore? It was going so well. And then you realize, oh no, I dropped my elbow again or whatever. Like, you just don't even feel it happening sometimes, because you just go back to what felt comfortable for you for such a long time.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to add something new. Yeah, you just fall right back into those old habits, those old patterns. It's muscle memory. It's tough to get out of that. So I hope for Xander's sake, and quite frankly for our sake and everybody watching along, I hope there's not a huge period of time where it's like, no, I'm working on something new, because I'm like, well, I'd rather you've worked on that during the spring or during the off season rather than in season. I know adjustments have to be made throughout the year, but we'll see if this is like a complete teardown of his swing, or if he's just tweaking some things.
Yeah. And, I'm glad that he's working on it, because, he, as he said, that he worked on something big time in the off season before last year, and it didn't work at all once the season started. You do have to be able to pivot and make changes, and when things aren't working, he's not He's not, my swing is sick, bro. You know, I don't need to make any changes. I'm Xander Bogaerts. He's not that way, and I can appreciate that about him. He understands that he's struggling, and he's not the player that the Padres signed him to be or wanted him to be.
I think Xander cares a lot,
He
and
does.
I think he's a very nice person. He's a fine individual, but I wouldn't want to hear that if I was listening to this show right now, and I don't blame fans for being like, okay, great, fantastic. He's the nice guy.
Well, what do you want to hear?
Nothing for. I don't really want to hear anything. I just want to see results.
If the Padres ever got if they got anything close to Xander Bogaerts in Boston with Manny and Merrill and Tatis,
2018 Xander Bogaerts from Boston, I mean, he could be the biggest jerk in the world. I could care less.
But if they got those results, the Padres lineup would be so scary, and we've never really seen the fully most scary version of a Padres lineup with Xander locked in, because he's really never been fully locked in. Merrill now coming into his own. Tatis playing at an MVP level like he is. And Manny, when he gets on one of his hot streaks and can carry the team, we've never seen it, honestly. All of it together. And then, with throwing a healthy Jake and Luis Ariz hitting 340 like we know he can. I mean, that's an almost unbeatable team, especially given what they're getting from their pitching staff and their bullpen. If that ever happened, and it'll never happen for a full season because that's not how baseball works.
We'd be lucky for it to happen for a week.
But if it happened in October, the Padres would literally be unbeatable during a stretch like that. That's what we dream on as fans. But when you hold that dream, it also leads to a lot of frustration when you don't see it. And we just continue, especially with Xander, we continue to not see it. But I'm not giving total hope up. I'll be honest. I don't ever think we're going to see 5 Silver Slugger Xander Bogaerts in a Padres uniform, and I'll be okay with that. But if we can see Xander as one of the top 4 or 5 hitting shortstops in baseball for the next couple of years before Leo Dallas gets here, and then Xander can play second or first or whatever, I will absolutely take that. I will sign up for that, and I do believe that is somewhere still in Xander's realm of possibility. Is it going to be easy to get there? Would I bet on it right now? Like I had to bet the farm on Xander Bogaerts figuring it out and becoming a 290 hitter with 20 home runs. I don't think I would at this moment. There's just the struggles have gone on for too long, and sometimes players don't figure it out, but he's working at it. He's trying, and I guess that's all I can ask right now as a fan. At least he's trying to figure it out, and he hasn't given up, so I'm not going to give up on him.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out this year, we got 8 more years to figure it out.
It's a long contract, isn't it? It's a long one. All right, we're going to take a timeout. Don't Do This is coming up next, and I was happened to be tuning in to the MLB Network. They were carrying the Phillies game yesterday against the Nationals, and in the second inning, Phillies broadcaster John
Crocky,
former Padre, told a Tony Gwynn story I had never heard before.
I'm all in.
So I thought, that could be a great do this for a Friday. A Tony Gwynn story that San Diegans haven't heard. Maybe you have heard this one. I hadn't, and I've heard a lot of Tony Gwynn stories over the years. It is coming up next after a check of traffic with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Got the great Darren Smith joining us from España in about 15 minutes. Time difference notwithstanding. First, though, it is time for Don't Do This. It is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Don't.
Leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die.
No.
Set up a Trust or Will online at trustandwill.com.
This
is a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info.
I was my Woodsy impersonation.
I think he actually gives it a little more enthusiasm than that, Paulie.
Don't!
Not quite that much. Somewhere in the middle, perhaps. I got a couple updates on the don't side of things for you this morning. We will start with Tyrese Halliburton's dad, John. Talked about it earlier this week. Don't do this moment after his game-winning shot when went out and dad held a towel in the face of Giannis like he was taunting the bull, and Giannis just stared at him like daggers. Like, what are you doing out here, old man? Could have been a really bad situation.
You are a third of my size. I could flick you away like a bug. Like, what are you doing here? Walking out onto the court is just
especially
crazy.
When that Giannis's season just came to an end. Lowest point of the year for a professional athlete.
Yes.
Eliminated from the playoffs in heartbreaking fashion. You blew a late lead. I mean, you just stay away from that guy right there. But you're not even supposed to be on the court, and you're right in front of him. Could have gotten ugly. I will credit Giannis for not escalating that situation. John apologized after the game. Tyrese probably made him do so. The fallout, though, and this is not shocking, the decision has been made by the team's front office, and John Halliburton is accepting the fact that he's not welcome, at least for the foreseeable future, at both home and road games for the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
They're not calling it a ban, like a one-year ban or a playoff ban. They're just saying be scarce, at least for a while.
Will not attend the team's home and road games for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I would think that at least means for the rest of the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
I would think.
I don't even know that it carries on next season, but
yeah,
I think you're
I mean, if Indiana goes all the way to the finals and, he promises to be good and wants to see
he gets a suite. He
his
gets to
dad,
stay
way
the friends
far
and
away.
family suite.
Maybe that's, I don't know, but they have decided.
You can't walk onto the court.
Dad, we don't want to see you at the games for a little while. Just watch it on TV with mom at home or something.
What was that, Tuesday night or something?
Yeah.
Like, I just picture. I watched the video of Tyrese Halliburton talking about it at the podium after that game, and I just picture him crazy, emotional, last second win, and he gets into the locker room finally. Does his on court interviews, gets in the locker room, and people are like, "Hey, did you see what happened?" He goes, "Wait, what? My dad did what? What?" That's it sucks for him.
Bad stuff. All right, story number 2, and also an update on the now just very intriguing story of Bill Belichick and his girlfriend.
Intriguing is a different word.
I don't know how we got to this point. All right, here's what bothers me. Here's my don't do this. I hate gaslighting. I hate when people tell me the sky is green when I know the sky is blue. And I feel like Bill Belichick and his girlfriend are now trying to gaslight us and tell us that what she did, that we all saw on the CBS Sunday morning interview, was not weird when it was weird.
It happens all the time.
I work in television. I interview people, and I do understand that sometimes there are, awkward moments, and they're arguing that she was kind of helping him as a publicist, and publicists will step in sometimes. They will during really tense interviews that are perhaps about like legal things. Like, okay, you've been charged with a crime. Your lawyer is standing there. We can't answer that question for legal reasons. They will step in and do that. That is totally understandable. Does everyone realize that Bill Belichick was being interviewed by CBS Sunday Morning to promote his book?
Yeah.
He wasn't charged with murder. They weren't, it was not some deep investigative piece. It was a fluffy Sunday morning interview. He brought his girlfriend there. There was, and I promise you, while he may have wanted it to be all about the book, there was no chance that CBS said, yes, we will only ask you questions about your boring old book, Bill. The only reason they have him on is to ask interesting questions about his life, about his new job, and of course, about his girlfriend that everyone is talking about. If you didn't know that, and you're Bill Belichick, and you've been in the public spotlight for decades, and you're trying to tell us that you thought that this was the way it's going to go, you are gaslighting us. You are absolutely gaslighting us. This makes no sense at all. And at least someone is calling it out, because he got defended yesterday on a podcast with a couple of his former players, Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski, who were defending what was going on with the girlfriend and the interview. And then it gets posted on Instagram, where Nikki Glaser, who we love
Nikki Glaser,
she also comes to Belichick's defense when they said, hey, she was acting as a publicist. It's not weird. And she said 100% this. She's acting as his publicist. Publicists do this thing during interviews. People are out for blood. Again, they do it when it's a tense, legally fraught interview. They don't do it in a fluffy book tour interview. But what really got weird.
Well, how many times are those subjects and their publicists also in a highly publicized relationship?
Right. And then what really got weird is the comment on that post from Jenny B. Who is Jenny B? Not just some random Instagram poster. It's Bill Belichick's daughter-in-law. She is married to his son, Steven.
Oh, wow.
And she responds to Nikki Glaser and say, publicists act in a professional manner and don't storm off set delaying an interview. Whoa! All of a sudden, Jenny's Instagram has gone private.
Oh,
But apparently not everybody feels that way about Jordan Hudson, the girlfriend of Bill Belichick. And there may be some drama and tension within the family as well.
it's Woodsy said it yesterday, and we all agreed he's over this story, and I am too. But I don't think that means that the story's going away anytime soon. It'll be really interesting when we get a little bit closer to football season. I mean, is she going to be on the side? Is she going to have a headset on the sidelines? I don't know.
It's getting weird, and they're trying to tell us it's not weird.
Yeah,
but it's weird.
So I mean,
and it's okay. It's weird. You know what? We all have weird things. But don't tell us it's not weird when we all know it's a little weird, Bill. It's a little weird.
I saw on Instagram, it said Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick in the year 2000, and it was Bill Belichick's introductory press conference as a grown-ass man for the New England Patriots and a newborn baby. It's weird. It is weird. It is weird. It's weird. It's weird. I'm sorry. It's weird. And I don't want to hear anything other than, yeah, it is kind of weird.
All right, finally, do this here for a Friday.
DD mega doo-doo.
I don't know the last time I heard a Tony Gwynn story that was new to me, but John Kruk dropped one yesterday during the Philadelphia Phillies Washington Nationals broadcast as he talked about a letter he had received from a viewer. And I will just let Krucker tell the story. And this, I believe, happened when they were playing together for Walla Walla, Padres rookie ball team in Washington back in 1981, and they were on the road in Portland.
I got a letter from a guy in Portland that said I slouch. He said I look like an 80-year-old.
Nice that we have fans in Portland, though.
Yeah.
Oregon, Maine.
Oh, yeah, we got them all over. I wonder if it was Portland, Maine.
Well, could have been.
Huh. I better go look again. Sorry, Oregon. I'll clear it up later. Did I ever tell you I almost got arrested in Oregon?
Doesn't surprise me, but no, you never told me. What were you doing in Portland? Oh, playing minor league ball.
Yeah, rookie ball. I got arrested, handcuffed, put in the back of a cop car.
Was it a mistaken identity?
No, Tony Gwynn had a friend who was a cop out there.
Oh, my God.
He had me arrested. Scared to, I mean, I was thinking like, man, I know I had a few beers last night. What the hell did I end up doing? You have a lot of bad thoughts when you're handcuffed in the back of a cop car.
I can imagine. There goes the runner. Pitch fouled. It remains 3-2. How did this end though? Did they take it downtown?
Well,
did they book
no,
you?
No. They never left the parking lot of the hotel. All I heard was Tony laughing. I'm like, that bastard.
You were pranked by a Hall of Famer, John, and you didn't even know he was a Hall of Famer.
I did not know. I knew he was going to be a great big leaguer. I hit everywhere he's been.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Tony Gwynn had a friend who was a cop in Oregon, and as a joke, he said, arrest Krucker, put him in the back of the car in handcuffs. Don't tell him why he's being arrested. And Tony's standing there with his signature laugh, and I can picture it now, back in 1981, having a little fun at the expense of John Kruk. And that is don't and do this for a Friday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
Pretty cool, huh? You know what? There are more sides to Tony Gwynn than even we know. We feel like we know everything about Tony Gwynn after all of these years.
That was fantastic.
I wonder if Tony Jr. knows that story about how Dad got John Kruk arrested. You'd probably get in trouble for doing that nowadays.
I'm trying to remember. I wish Woodsy was here because he would know the story. We were driving to Arizona earlier in the year, and we were listening to Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang were on the Howard Stern show, and they were talking about Bob Uecker. We were listening to Bob Uecker stories, and he had a story about somebody. I don't remember who it was, but like a player from the 60s or 70s. It was like Sandy Koufax, like a huge name player, and a similar prank where they got in touch with a friend who knew some cops, and they had a player. They were like, it was an ongoing prank battle, and it ended with this guy getting like arrested and dragged out of the clubhouse in front of all his teammates. And I go, that's a good one.
It's a serious prank right there.
That is a good one.
All right, we'll take a time out. When we come back, we are going to try to hook up the satellite and see if we can connect with our friend Darren Smith, who is in Spain right now. But we'll talk a little SDFC, talk a little soccer, talk a little baseball as well on a Friday with D. Smith coming up next with Ben and Woods and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
technology. When I first started in this business, and when our next guest started in radio, we'd get in trouble for making a long distance telephone call to Spain. I mean, like bosses would be mad. You can't call international and have a 15-minute conversation with someone. We can't afford that now. I mean, Darren Smith, not our only regular guest who's joined us from Spain. We had Adam Jones for two years joining us from Barcelona. So this is old hat for us. Darren is standing by. We can make him wait through traffic because we're not racking up the, $4.99 a minute anymore on international phone charges.
I just picture Joe Tatina going, you called Darren Smith while he was on vacation in Spain?
You know how much that costs?
It's coming out of your paycheck, Higgins.
Darren's just going to wait right through traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury. Here's Kelly Danek.
Couple things to mention here. One is a car fire westbound 52 past the Summit. It's in the Center Divide. Also traveling on South 5 Coastline before Harbor Drive. Watch out for a little activity over the right shoulder. Emergency crews trying to retrieve a car that went over the side. That's South 5 before Harbor Drive. I'm Kelly Danek with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And the other part of it is if we even tried calling Spain, the person on the other end would sound like they were in a closet in a submarine. But I understand that Darren sounds pretty good as he joins us from Spain right now. Good morning, Darren.
Well, good afternoon, Ben. Good afternoon, Paul. Yeah, hopefully it sounds good. You never know. Like when I was doing the radio show, I always got such delight when we would check in with people who were covering the Olympics or the World Cup or Formula One. If you get half as much enjoyment out of this, connecting with somebody who's in Spain, as I did when we would connect with people internationally, then you're probably going to have a good day. But yes, thank you for being patient, and thank you for having me on as always.
You could be and I be. We've had worse connections with guests right here in San Diego. Well, I've seen some of the pictures you posted on Instagram. Tell me about your trip. I mean, I assume it was built around going to see FC Barcelona play, and this is the Champions League stage right now of soccer, correct?
Correct. Actually, that was a bonus to the trip. And what happened is, Barcelona's playing against Real Madrid on May 11th. So, my wife and I sort of looked at the calendar, and this is before I was with SDFC. So we looked at the calendar and we said, hey, why don't we just make a whole vacation out of it, right? She's in the wine business. So, we turned this into a kind of not a work trip necessarily, but a vacation, education kind of trip. So, that our trip started when it did, we landed on Wednesday, and that was the day of the Champions League. That was just pure luck. I'd love to take some credit for that, even putting us in a position where that could happen. But, we booked this trip so many months out, and for Barcelona to be in the Champions League semifinal, that had to happen, and it had to be on a Wednesday night, not on a Tuesday night, as the schedule makers really did us a favor. So the trip was intended to be around Barcelona, Real Madrid on the 11th. We just got lucky and we went to the Champions League match the other night.
So what was it like? Give us the flavor of a true FC Barcelona match, especially in a Champions League semifinal.
Yeah, that's my first time. That's my first time at a Champions League match. I've been to some league matches before, including Barcelona, Real Madrid in 2015. And, that's right at the top of the list of great sporting events that I've been fortunate to be a part of. I've been very, very lucky, either through local radio or at ESPN, to be on sidelines for college football championships and the World Series, et cetera. That one was up there. This one was a little different, only because Barcelona's playing in a temporary stadium. They're playing in a stadium which is kind of like the Rose Bowl, but about half the size. It holds about 52,000 people, and they're playing in a temporary stadium, the Olympic Stadium, as a matter of fact, because their actual stadium is being renovated. It was supposed to be open, but they deal with some delays here in Spain too. So it was supposed to be open. Now it'll open next year. It'll be 104,000 person capacity. It was great. I mean, it just was amazing energy. The city was really alive. People were walking to the part of town where the stadium is. You could feel the energy, from the time that we landed in Barcelona to the time that we, got on the train. You just see everybody, in a city that's as big as Barcelona. You wonder, will you know that there's a major sporting event in a city that size, right? Like when the Padres are playing a massive game, a playoff game, you sort of feel it. You kind of feel it all around the city. Barcelona's a massive place, millions and millions of tourists. So, you could feel it. It was great. The game itself was just absolutely bonkers. It's not every day you're going to see, 3-3 soccer match, 6 goals scored, perhaps the best player, I don't know, on planet Earth right now is a 17-year-old who plays for FC Barcelona. His name is Lamine Yamal. So it was great to see him in person for the first time. He's 17 years old. So, that was really a treat. And, them to just be around afterwards in the city. And, it's a late night town. So we stayed up till, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was perfectly normal. I mean, there were people out, journalists out, families out, so it was just, it was great. I mean, it's just an all-time night for us.
And we thought Jackson Merrill was young. Well, I'm not surprised the stadium is delayed when, they spend 4 hours every afternoon sleeping and eating bread and meat and olives all day during siesta.
Guilty.
I mean, I can't. That would never work in this country. It just would never work in this country.
Well, I don't know about that.
You think
Paul
it could?
and I sort of. Well, we've been texting about it, and he cracked me up the other day because we were talking about the timing. Here being where we are at 4:30, he's like, I don't know, is that tapas time or is that siesta time or whatever time it is over there? I said, yeah, normally it would be siesta time. And I thought Paul gave an endorsement for siesta in the United States. Paul, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I thought that's what you said.
Paulie's all about it.
I haven't been to Barcelona. I have not been to Spain or experienced this, but the idea of it, I can absolutely get on board with.
Yeah, I think everybody can. And by the way, my wife is sitting right next to me, so I will say this within full earshot of her. It is not the worst thing in the world for you and your significant other just to get under the covers in the middle of the day. It's not the worst thing in the world for you to have that opportunity 5 days a week. That's right.
I mean, I got 2 jobs. I barely have enough hours in the day to begin with. I don't know what I'd do with myself if I had to take 3 or 4 of them out to sleep. But I mean, if it works for them. Now, speaking of that, Isaac in our chat says, just to let you know, guys, I was in Barcelona 6 years ago, and most of the beaches are topless there, which I didn't know, and I had to cover my 6-year-old daughter's eyes. You went to the beach, didn't you, Darren?
Yes, Ben. As a matter of fact, we did go to the beach. And I would just say, Isaac is covering his kids' eyes. That is not the case for people here locally. One of the things that Leah and I said, one of the observations we had was, because, we had never been at that kind of beach before. And when you go, you sort of have this image in your mind of what it is that you think you're going to see, or perhaps you're projecting what you want to see, like a bunch of good looking people, right?
Yeah.
And it was, it wasn't necessarily that. There was lots of different people of different shapes and sizes and ages. And, not to shame anybody, it just, it wasn't exactly how I pictured it. But to your point, there were kids everywhere. There were families, there were people that brought their children, and it wasn't like the kids were sitting, eyes just wide and jaw dropped. It just was a perfectly normal thing for kids to be kicking a soccer ball around or hanging out on the beach. So I don't know, maybe that's more a tourist thing for Isaac and his kids, but it seemed like, and what we presumed to be locals, there were lots of kids on the beach. So, they were not trying to, this was not 18 and over. This was open to everybody, and people did bring their families with them to the beach.
We got a lot of hang-ups in this country, no doubt about it. Blame the Puritans when they came over hundreds of years ago. Darren Smith is.
That's kind of what we said too. Maybe that's something to do with our attitudes about nudity and such. I don't know. People are very comfortable where we were.
Was that your first time at a nude beach?
Yes. Yeah,
and did you were you in your birthday?
No, you don't do that. The guys don't do that. They wear the Speedos still, right? It's just topless.
Well,
doesn't sound like it.
No, it's totally nude. All right.
It was totally nude.
Wow.
It was totally nude. I actually got up to go use the restroom at one point, and there was a gentleman who was about 10 feet away from where we were positioned on the beach, right? We brought beach towels. And as soon as I got up, I could sort of see from far away. He turned, he rolled right over, and he offered Leah a cerveza. And I could feel from 100 yards away how uncomfortable she was, because he literally rolled over naked and was lying down with his head on his hand, propped up on his hand, right at the elbow bent. He's like, "Hey, do you want something to drink?" And I could feel how uncomfortable he was. But he was all out, man. He was all out there.
This is supposed to be an SDFC interview. I assume you're not going to be at the game tomorrow. It was bound to happen, a losing streak. And honestly, I was talking about it yesterday on Channel 10. First 2 games, almost expected. Altitude in Colorado. tough game. You told us, maybe the toughest of the season on the artificial turf in Charlotte, but then hoping they would bounce back last week at home against Real Salt Lake, a team they had already beaten, and then they didn't. Gave up 3 goals again. Now they've got a tough FC Dallas team that just beat Inter Miami coming into town. They don't seem panicked at all. What are you kind of expecting, Darren, for SDFC tomorrow, and can they nip this losing streak in the bud?
Yeah, I think they can. Dallas had to play away at Miami last week, and they'll have to travel, even though it, geographically it's from east to west, from Miami to Dallas to San Diego. It's still back to back away. Always hard. It just disrupts the rhythm. I've been thinking, is there a through line here for the 3 losses? And I don't really think there is. I think each loss is sort of unique to its own game, right? The game at Colorado, they were fighting all the way to the end. I did that game on radio with Adrian. And I will tell you, we both thought they were going to equalize. SDFC was going to equalize. They had the pressure, on Colorado all the way up until the final whistle blew. The game in Charlotte for me was just a nightmare, total disaster. Throw the whole thing out. Nothing good to take away from that. And, last week it was a weird game. The first goal was a giveaway, mental mistake. That's got to get cleaned up. The penalty kick is, for me, it is so dubious, and I'm not trying to be a homer here, but it is such a dubious call to award a penalty kick, a soft penalty at best. But, the referee didn't call the penalty on the field. It got called down from review up top. After a full minute was played, SDFC had connected 13 passes, so they were already mounting attack. And it changed the game. It just changed the game, the handball that was called after the fact. That was video that stopped play. That's not correcting an egregious mistake to me. That is re-refereeing the game. Okay, it happens. And then, the third goal was one where it was just this guy leathers it from 25 yards out. It's the goal of this guy's life. So, I don't think there's a through line here. Maybe a couple of things to clean up on the back line from the defenders. And, also they got to get to scoring a little bit. 1 goal from the penalty spot over the last 2 matches just isn't going to cut it in Major League Soccer. And I think that they're capable, more than capable, of doing all those things. So I think they bounce back. I really do. I think they bounce back. And we really haven't seen Lozano. He's played well, but, he hasn't dominated the match. And I still think that is coming. And hopefully that is going to come tomorrow night.
Yeah, maybe Mike Uvaris wants to take the VAR out of his name after the last couple of games.
There you go.
So, Darren, so far we've only seen league matches, like actual regular season MLS, but they do. We're trying to figure this out as new fans of MLS. They do have like a version of the Champions League here. If you play well enough, you'll qualify for something like Barcelona was playing in on the North American stage against teams from the Liga MX and other things. That's something we can look forward to for hopefully in the future for SDFC.
Yeah, hopefully. CONCACAF Champions Cup is what it's called now. As a matter of fact, you just mentioned Inter Miami with Messi. They got bounced out of CONCACAF Champions Cup. So they got bounced out by Vancouver the other night. But that's a continental tournament. Teams from Major League Soccer, Liga MX, some of the Caribbean clubs as well. Clubs from Costa Rica and Honduras, if you qualify. So it's a qualification, the CONCACAF Champions Cup. It's for the best. I don't know exactly. They change the formula every year just because that's the way they work. But, you take what is considered to be the top teams from each of these leagues, you put them into a tournament a la NCAA tournament style, and there you have an event. There's also another tournament that has been reintroduced over the last couple of years called Leagues Cup. This is where it gets really confusing. So Leagues Cup is something that was created by Don Garber, the commissioner of MLS, and the Liga MX commissioner, where it's just the Mexican league clubs versus MLS teams. So that is the one that SDFC will be a part of this summer. They're going to be playing games in that tournament for sure, but hopefully, you get rewarded for your success and you can qualify for CONCACAF Champions Cup somewhere down the road. And then, as if all that wasn't confusing enough for new soccer fans, there's also the U.S. Open Cup. So, that's an ever-evolving situation, which I won't bore everybody with the details of. But, it is possible for you to be playing potentially in, 2, maybe 3 different tournaments any given season. It's a lot. I mean, it's asking a lot of the players for sure. But, if you're a fan of the sport, you probably want more of it, and they're more than willing to give it to you.
And I don't know if you've caught much Padres baseball lately. They seem to have ridden out their first slump, bad stretch of the season with a good 2-game sweep of the Giants, but now an interesting road trip that they're starting today in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I looked at the weather report in Pittsburgh. This is probably not normal behavior for people that are on vacation in Spain, and because you just sort of know, right? Dave Marcus's book title should be "The Tarp is on the Field," because it's going to be weather, and it's a bad Pittsburgh team, and it's a team that doesn't get any home support, and it's a fan base that seems to hate its ownership and its management right now. It's going to be rotten weather, but two of those three pitchers that you're facing are pretty good. I know they're not Skeens, but they're the next best things to Skeens. So yeah, and it's kind of tricky with the weather and just being in a dead environment. Ben, I don't know if you remember this, 2010, right? Like the vibe at Petco Park now is so electric, but in 2010, like San Francisco had that, right? Like AT&T Park was a scene, just the same way that Petco Park is now. And I always remember those guys coming down for one of the series, and they didn't play well. And I don't remember if it was Bochy or Flannery. Somebody's like, yeah, I think sometimes it's tough for our guys to get motivated in these environments, So I wonder what it's going to be like in Pittsburgh when there's going to be 11,000 people there. It's going to be rain. The tarp's going to be on the field. But yeah, and you're facing two good pitchers. So, you don't want to look back and be like, oh man, remember that series in Pittsburgh? Wasn't that the worst? So, I think they're more professional than that, but they are still human beings. So it's a curious one to me.
I'm hoping the Rays series is that. Remember that bad series against the Rays, and we don't have to live through that again. But you got to bring your own energy, in a game like that. It's a good point, Darren. Really appreciate it. Have a nice Rioja for me. Say hi to Adam Jones if you run into him, and we will talk to you again next Friday.
It is a pleasure. Thank you, guys. Enjoy.
Darren Smith, SDFC broadcaster, Ben & Woods weekly guest, joining us from Barcelona, Spain, with stories of soccer and nude beaches and wine tasting and siestas. Actually, now I kind of want to go to Spain. Not necessarily for the nude beaches, more for
you want to go.
More for the eating in the afternoon and taking a nap. Does actually sound pretty.
Put some sunscreen in places you don't normally put
nice.
It out here.
Speaking of traveling, I want to talk about room service when we reset the show. Coming up next with Ben & Woods. Mike Shildt still coming, an hour away. All ahead on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Halfway home on a Friday. Welcome back. It is Ben and Paul Woodsy. Little under the weather is not with us on this Friday. Hopefully we'll be back good to go on a Monday. Our thanks again to Darren Smith, who just a really fun conversation from Barcelona, Spain, talking soccer, baseball, and more. Nude beaches, wine, siestas. That was really cool. If you missed it, you can go back on our Odyssey app and or our YouTube feed, and Paulie posts all the hours of the show. You can watch the video content there as well on our Ben and Woods channel on YouTube. It is also a Friar Friday, not just a Friday. And joining us at 9 o'clock will be the skipper of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt. Now, neither you nor I, Paulie, had bothered to look at the weather forecast for Pittsburgh. Darren brought it up.
Darren brought it up like the professional that he is.
Yeah, from the other side of the Atlantic. He had done his homework. And, I popped on the game yesterday when, Skeens was pitching and everything looked good. Saw the pictures from, Don and Mud and Jesse on their Instagram feeds yesterday. Looked like a beautiful day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Not the case anymore. They have storms, lightning, all kinds of problems in the area.
Chance of rain, 60%, scattered thunderstorms this evening, a steady rain arriving overnight, so probably even more likely of some issues tomorrow. When I just Googled during the commercial break, Pittsburgh weather, because again, I saw the game yesterday. They played, and so I know the weather can change pretty quickly, but I saw they played yesterday. Didn't even occur to me to maybe check the weather. And it's rain today, rain tomorrow, rain Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, through most of next week. Some of the headlines on Google: wide swath of devastation left in wake of storm. 3 deaths reported after severe storms batter Pittsburgh area. 2 people dead. Nearly 400,000 without power. That was a couple of days ago.
Now the weather changed a lot faster there than it does here, so it doesn't mean they can't get the baseball games in, but it is a headache for Dave Marcus, as Darren mentioned, and our Sam Levitt. He's the one who really
Sammy wears it more than
has
anybody.
to wear it, because all of a sudden he's done with a pregame show for an hour, and then 10 minutes later, Jesse's tossing it back to Sam for more coverage, because with a game at 3:40, I imagine Chris and Scraby will be in for 30 minutes, but then they'll be gone, and it'll be like Sam's job to fill hours and hours this afternoon if there is any rain delay theater. So we'll keep you updated if we hear anything. Sammy, of course, will keep you updated during the EcoWater SoCal pregame show at 2:40 today. We will, though, rain or shine, talk to Mike Shildt coming up in less than an hour. And while I'm definitely going to ask him about what pie I think he was eating when I saw him earlier this week.
I mean, I have to ask him about his favorite superhero.
Maybe.
He's not here.
I also will ask him about this stat that I was just sent by the Padres Public Relations Department, Darren Feeney and company. And this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't know if they should be putting this out in the universe, but they did their pregame notes and getting ready to release those for tonight's game. And they told me this: tonight marks Mike Shildt's 31st career game managed at PNC Park. No surprise, with the Cardinals in the NL Central, they made plenty of trips there every year. He is 25-5 in his career at PNC. That's an .833 winning percentage. And that makes Mike Shildt the most successful manager at any ballpark in Major League history with a minimum of 25 games, ahead of the legendary Jim Muttrey, who went 26-6 at Metropolitan Park, and George Wright, who went 34-8 at the Messer Street grounds, both, turn of the century 1900 type stadiums that were played. So Mike Shildt, and you can understand the Cardinals were pretty good when he was the manager and the Pirates were bad. Yeah. He is absolutely dominated at PNC Park.
Something else.
And then I will also ask Mike Shildt, because I did my own research last night. And I know Mike is a buff when it comes to baseball history. He often talks about Jackie Robinson, Negro Leagues. The history of the game is important to him. And I thought, well, that's cool, because you're going to one of the most historic I know it's the new Yankee Stadium, but still Monument Park, everything going this weekend, going to Yankee Stadium. So I wanted to look up what his managerial record was at Yankee Stadium. And I went back through all of his years at the Cardinals, and I realized they didn't go last year because the Yankees came to San Diego. He has never managed a game at Yankee Stadium in his career. He was like 3.5 years. Right. He was interim for half.
A long time.
But they never made a trip to Yankee Stadium when he was the skipper, I believe, of the St. Louis Cardinals, and has not gone as skipper of the San Diego Padres until this road trip.
Right,
So
they came here last year.
I would venture that Mike Shildt is going to consider that to be a pretty special treat to get to walk into the dugout as the manager of the San Diego Padres at Yankee Stadium and get to manage a game there in the Bronx for the first time in his life. But I will ask him.
Yeah, it's got to be a cool feeling. I can't imagine there's too many other ballparks, if any, that he hasn't been in. So he'll be just like a rookie.
I also want to ask him about his habits on the road, because I'm curious about this. You travel a lot. Jesse talks about it. You get into your routines on the road. And I wonder if Mike Shildt is a room service guy when it comes to breakfast. Paulie, I know you, and I know Woods like a good room service.
Big room service fan, especially
the cart, the silver dish, the tray, just
cloche.
The cloche, yes, that's what they call it. Well, that was an incorporator word early on in Jesse's incorporated cloche, the topping to the plate that they bring you with room service. But I am totally anti-room service when I travel.
Of course you are.
And it's not exactly why you think. Now, it's partly why you think. Room service is
$18 for chicken
Room
wings?
service is pricey, but here's my point. When you're going to a new city, I feel like there are so many interesting options that you want to check, that if you are simply dining from your hotel, your Marriott's, food service people at the bottom, just like corporate stuff, and that's all you're ordering, you're missing out on the flavor of the city that you're going to visit. If you really don't want to leave your hotel room, DoorDash has kind of made room service almost anachronistic. If you want to get something from a cool spot in the city, like a cool breakfast spot that they're known for, they're famous for, just have it DoorDash to your hotel. You can have it right up to the room. Still, you don't get the cart and the tray, but if that's, I don't believe that room service is really necessary anymore, that you're just overpaying for regular old French toast or pancakes that you could get better pretty much anywhere else, and you're paying like 3 times what you would normally pay for it when you don't have to. At DoorDash, you're going to pay a little bit more, but you're not going to pay the room service cost for it. So I am firmly in the anti-room service camp.
I can't disagree with where you're at right now. I fully get it. It's easier. It's just as easy, I should say, with DoorDash. You can get anything. If you're in Philly and you want a cheesesteak and your hotel doesn't have one, you can have one DoorDash.
I'm sure they have one, but I would feel like a schmuck if I ordered a cheesesteak from the Marriott in Philly instead of one of their legendary cheesesteak establishments.
I think that's more than fair. I think, personally, as I'm thinking through my life as you were talking there, I'm like, well, the most common place I go is Las Vegas. We go there once a year at least, and that's a little bit different. You're probably not getting something. All right,
Vegas is so hard to get out of your room sometimes and out of the hotel that. So I can see the appeal of just staying in your room and getting room service.
I acknowledge that's the exception probably, and not necessarily the rule. But for me, that's absolutely a staple.
When we go to Philly later this summer, I don't want it to be a fight, but I'm not going to want to get room service in my room. I want to go out to breakfast and go out to lunch and try cheesesteaks. And I do not want to sit in our room and order room service.
I think it's also different when you're on a work trip, or if you're by yourself. I think it's a little bit different. Sometimes there is an appeal to, if you're with your wife or something and you're having a lazy morning, late night, and you're like, how nice would it be to just have some breakfast rolled right on?
You're massively hungover and it's convenient because you stayed up late, whatever, the night before on your trip and had a little too much to drink at the bar downstairs. Oh, I guess there's a time and a place for everything, including room service, but
I bet Mike Shildt's a big room service guy. I don't think he wants to even waste time looking.
That's what I wonder.
DoorDash and Uber
Eats. Does he make the
Postmates.
coffee from the pods that are already in the room, or does he just go downstairs and get a coffee? Or
Does
how
anybody
does it
make
work?
coffee with the room?
Does anybody
pods?
make? I've done it a couple of times. I feel like I want to take advantage of all the services that my Hampton Inn has to provide, and it is included. It's not free. It's included in the cost of the room. It's part of. It's like 8 cents of that room charge of those pods that they set up for you. So I do like to take advantage of what's in that room. You know, if I need to iron something, I want to iron something. I got an iron in my room. I want to use it.
I'm not even wearing this shirt, but I'm not ironing it.
So I got a hair dryer. All right, I'm plugging it in and I'm drying my hair with it, even though I have never used a hair dryer at home in my life. If I'm on the road and there's a hair dryer, hey, you know, I'm paying for that thing. I want to use my hair dryer in my room.
I think we also, again, you know, this whole conversation started with Mike Shildt and baseball players on the road. Like they go to these cities so often, a lot of them, that maybe there isn't so much of an appeal
That's
to
true.
check out the local staples like it would be for us. But like when they get to Denver, Colorado next weekend, that's probably most definitely a room in division opponent. You're there a couple times a year. Like it's just, I'm ready to get home. Just bring me something from downstairs.
It's possible with Shildt as well. We know he gets to the ballpark pretty early, and they take pretty good care of players and managers there. They got the visiting food service, whatever you need. Maybe he just goes to the ballpark and says, all right, coffee and breakfast, and just bring it to my office or something like that. So I don't know. I was just curious what his travel is, because they got a long trip. It's 10 days, 3 cities. Pittsburgh, New York, Colorado, very different cities on this trip for the Padres as well, but all potentially with weather. There are no retractable roofs in Pittsburgh, in New York, or in Colorado, and all 3 of those places could get dicey in early May. So, yeah, that would be the worst if you have a trip in which multiple cities are impacted, and then all of a sudden later in the season you got to go back and like make up games because you didn't get all of those in, or you have to play multiple double headers on a 9-game road trip. That messes your pitching staff. That's something that I would imagine he is somewhat concerned about.
Oh yeah,
going into
just
the start of
looking
this
at the
trip.
weather, you're like, they may get today's game in, and then tomorrow it's going to be in question. Does that make a double header on Sunday, and how that's going to impact everything moving forward? Yeah, it's we're gonna have to wait and see here.
Arturo wants to know if I go to the hotel gym. I do sometimes go to the hotel gym.
Just to look around?
Even though I don't go to any other gyms, but hey, it's included in the cost of my room. Now, I won't go if it's an extra cost. If it's like one of those gym fees and you got to pay $25, you will never see me in one of those. But if it's included in the cost of the room, yes, I will try to take advantage of the hotel gym from time to time.
Megan and we're going to Vegas for our annual anniversary / Memorial Gras party weekend celebration at the end of May, and we just booked. We're going to pamper ourselves with a spa day when we're out there. You would never, ever pay spa prices, would you?
No, because you could probably find a more affordable spa outside the hotel. The hotel is going to charge you 2-3 times what you could get at a regular spa.
You're going to walk downstairs, get in the Uber line.
Well, I'm not going to the spa.
Get a ride 20 minutes outside of where you're at just to save $75.
Yeah. $75 is $75. But enjoy what are you going to get? Pedicure, facial?
I got a massage. I think Megan was I think she got a massage as well. We're both getting massages, and then you get like 3 hours with all the other spa services, like
seaweed wrap, mud mask,
sauna, the hot tub, the pool, the steam room,
cucumber water,
all of that stuff. They've got it all. They've got all the equipment and everything. It looks really nice, and yeah, it's gonna be. You get that all included when you get a treatment, so definitely ready for that.
There's never been a spa guy. I can't get relaxed. It doesn't call to me. Even the massage is really mostly just an uncomfortable 90 minutes or whatever it is.
You're getting the wrong massage then, my friend.
Apparently. I don't know. What massage am I supposed to get?
I think just they have like
I know
ones
they
that
have
are more
regular
soothing
ones
and relaxing. Then they have like the athletic massages that they hurt.
I definitely don't want those.
Me and Woods got those. We did the day before fantasy camp this year. We drove over to Scottsdale and went to a really nice resort and had like deep tissue athletic massages. The night before we started fantasy camp and started working out a bunch, and it hurt. They get in there and it really hurts, but you feel so loose and relaxed, the next morning it's like a high you've never experienced. In your case, ever.
Tej wants to know, do I ever get a pedicure? Were you not here for that show, Tej? I got my one and only pedicure sitting in this chair.
We did that during spring
with the
summer break.
Mobile pedicure when they came in during our it was during our summer break when Woods likes to set up fun things for us to do. I didn't hate the pedicure, actually. I kind of liked
pedicure.
I kind of liked the pedicure. I've thought about, I haven't done it yet, but I've actually thought about going and doing another one because I did enjoy that enough.
I would recommend it. It's not as expensive as you think. You can find it affordable. It's worth it. You are on your feet a lot. Take care of them.
Elisa says I might enjoy a facial since I liked my milk lip treatment. It's essentially the same thing, right? You're just putting weird stuff on your face and letting it sit there.
Yeah.
All right, enough on spa treatments and room service because we have a game to play. Now, we don't have Woods, so we can't take on Woods. We don't have John either because it's Friday, and I don't think they're in the studio today.
We're the only people in the building, apparently, here at Odyssey on a Friday.
So we will be, for the last game of the month, we will be reprising Real or Fake today. Maybe good news for some of you out there because I know Take on Woods can be good to win. We didn't have a winner on Real or Fake yesterday either, though. But if you want to try to be our last qualifier for our getaway to Las Vegas, concert tickets, $150 gift card, you can call in during the break. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. We will play a little Real or Fake when we come back as we get ready for Mike Shildt coming up at 9 o'clock this morning with our manager's report. All ahead with Ben and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the player's place.
This hour of Bennett Woods is brought to you by Robert Half. At Robert Half, they found that 67% of companies want to increase contract talent. That's why the recruiter's expertise and award-winning AI work quickly to find the skilled, talented candidates you want. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. Dub J had an interesting suggestion in the YouTube chat. It says next time Woods is scheduled to be out. It wasn't scheduled to be out. He was sick, but you should arrange the top two contestants that win take on Woods to call in and play each other, like a Jeopardy tournament of champions. I'm not opposed to the idea of doing like some of the best of the best against each other at some point.
Like put them. How'd that work?
I'm not sure
because both be on the line at the same
time, but they can't hear. One of them would have to like promise not to listen.
The other one to go and hear all the.
Yeah, you couldn't both be on the phone. Well, logistics aside,
I'll let you figure that
ponder that one for a while, Dub J, but I appreciate the suggestion for sure. Today, though, with no Woods and no John in the building, we could take on Adam, but I don't think that would be all that fun. So instead...
Do you have a whole category of Dan and Shay questions
do
or something?
Not. Instead, we're going to play a little real or fake.
Some are here for the compelling sports talk with Ben and Woods. Yeah, you can go plow through another donut. It's time for Real or Fake on 97.3 The Fan. Tell the people what they'll win today.
Real or Fake, brought to you by Bay Alarm, security and fire alarms for every business. We got you, and I get to tell Alex what he could win. Hello, Alex. How are you?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Let's play a little real or fake. If you can get 4 of 7 correct, you will be entered. The last one entered into our grand prize drawing for the trip to Las Vegas. Tickets to either Disturbed, Ghost, or Pantera, plus a 2-night stay at the MGM Grand and a $150 gift card. Get your tickets for all 3 shows now at Ticketmaster.com.
This is an easier game, I think, for a lot of people than Take on Woods. However, Alex, there's no Woods here. You can't ask me for help either because Ben sends me the answers,
Right.
so I
You're on your own.
know how to ding or buzz you for your answer.
At worst, you have a 50% chance. Now, if you know this category, this could be the easiest real or fake of all time, or it could be very difficult. May the 4th be with you. Technically, it's not until Sunday, but Sunday is the day, Alex, to celebrate all things Star Wars.
It wouldn't matter if I had the answer. I wouldn't be able to help
He
you,
would
Alex.
not be able to help you. Woods would not be able to probably help you either on this one. Are you nerdy enough to know the difference between a Star Wars character and a Star Trek character? I am certainly nerdy enough to get all 7 right in this category. Today, on Real or Fake, Alex, I will give you a name. You tell me if it's a real character from one of the Star Wars movies or a fake, a character from one of the Star Trek television shows. You got it?
So real Star Wars, fake Star
Do you
Trek.
watch either, both, any of them?
I know Star Wars pretty good.
All
Star
right,
Trek,
then
a little bit.
you got a chance then on this one. Are you ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right, round 1. Real or fake Star Wars character? Tasha Yar. Tasha Yar, real or fake?
Ooh, if this is like a nitty-gritty one, I could be wrong. I'm just going to go fake.
Fake. Correct. Security officer on the USS Enterprise under Captain Picard. That is 1 right for you, and I am showing my nerdiness now. All right, round number 2. Greedo. Greedo.
For Star Wars or Star Trek?
It's real is Star Wars, fake is Star Trek.
Okay. I'm going to go real.
Real. Greedo. Yeah. And
Good start.
Han Solo blasts him, I believe, at the start of Star Wars.
No way.
Right? Yeah. All right. That's
No
2 right.
way.
We are halfway there. All right. Round number 3. Jin Erso. Jin Erso. Real or fake Star Wars character?
Fake.
Fake? Have you not seen Rogue One, which may be the best Star Wars movie of them all? That was she was the kind of the main character of that one. All right. That's all right. That's just 1 incorrect. Let's go to round number 4. Tuvok. Tuvok.
Tuvok. You said Tuvok with the T?
Tuvok, yeah, with a T. Tuvok.
Fake?
Fake, yep. Star Trek Voyager. As they tried to make their way back from the Delta Quadrant. He was the Vulcan science officer and security specialist. All right, 1 more and you're correct and you win it all. Let's go with Odo. Odo, real or fake Star Wars character?
Fake.
Fake, yeah. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Well done. Alex, you are, in fact, a nerd. Congratulations. You are entered into our drawing for Las Vegas and the 2 tickets. And stay on the line. Paul will get your information. But probably by Monday, we will have a winner. And someone who qualified this month will be contacted. And then we'll start brand new for officially the month of May. Next week on May 5th. And then we had
new categories or new prize.
New prize next week. Yeah. The other ones would have been real Mace Windu, Jedi Knight, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and Newt Gunray, who is the Trade Federation, whatever he was in the first Star Wars Episode 1. So there you go. Good job, Alex. We have a winner for today. We will take a timeout. When we come back, talk a little more baseball, what went on yesterday around the major leagues, and the new controversy that I had not heard about, but apparently a lot of players are talking about, and it has to do with the umpiring this year in Major League Baseball. We will get to that coming up next.
You're pulling a fast one on everybody?
I don't know. I saw this yesterday and I thought, I didn't even realize this was going on. It's coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Had another one of those commercials during the break. It was for Eloquis when they have the disclaimers at the end for all
Hit
the
by a truck?
No, not that one.
Maybe my favorite moment of the week.
All the disclaimers at the end for what can happen to you if you take the drug, the side effects.
Hit by a truck?
No, it's not a side effect of Eloquis, but I mean, they go through so many of them, like 30 seconds of the side effects, and it's very rare. I mean, it's like less than 1% of people, but they have to mention them legally, I guess. One of them, they said, it's paralysis, which then the announcer goes on to explain, which is the inability to move. Yes, thank you for explaining what paralysis is in your side effect disclaimer at the end of the spot. We have a robust Star Wars, Star Trek chat now going on in our YouTube stream after Real or Fake. And all I can say is that I appreciate it. You are all very lucky that Woods is under the weather today, because he would be making fun of you mercilessly as not a Star Wars or Star Trek or any science fiction whatsoever person. I've never seen anyone who is really more opposed to science fiction than Woods is. He really doesn't enjoy it at all.
I mean, I'm kind of with him.
I know you're kind of like that too.
I'm a little bit more.
Yeah, you're
like,
a little more.
Like, I was watching Deadpool, I think was on TV the other day, and I'm like, that's one I think Woods would actually like find entertaining.
He would absolutely think it's hilarious if he just let himself just get into like the universe of what it is that's going on.
But outside of that, I haven't seen any of the Marvel movies, Fantastic Four.
And of course, I've seen all the Marvel movies, all the Star Wars movies and shows, all the Star Trek shows, every single episode of all of them.
I liked the Dark Knight movies, superhero-esque.
He likes those because he feels like Batman could be a real person. He's just a really rich guy who's in really good shape and has really good tech.
That's why Batman was my favorite.
He was also okay with Iron Man because he feels like it wasn't magical. You know, it was just a really smart guy with really, really good tech that, honestly, let's be honest, the Iron Man tech is magical. It's not realistic in any way, shape, or form that anything could do what the Iron Man suit does. So it's just as magic as Thor or Captain America taking a super serum, but he thinks that it's a little more realistic because, well, I don't know. He built it himself.
Paulie watched the recent Batman with Robert Pattinson. And I did watch those because I started to watch The Penguin on HBO Max, like in the last 6 months. One of the best shows of the last several years, I thought. It was fantastic. But one of my buddies was like, wait, you're watching The Penguin and you haven't gone and seen The Batman yet? He's like, stop what you're doing right now. Go watch the movies. It'll have some tie-ins. It'll make the show make a little bit more sense.
Irie Fangeek says, Ben should try the Vulcan Death Punch on Paulie. First of all, it's a pinch. It's just a pinch in the back of the neck. And it doesn't
throw you out the window.
And it doesn't kill you. It just makes you pass out for a few minutes. Spock would not be just killing people randomly left and right. Vulcans are fairly pacifists. They're very logical. They're not trying to just murder people with their neck pinches all the time. All right, we got our I'm sure Mike Shildt would love this conversation. He strikes me as someone who really gets into Star Wars, probably goes home and watches it almost every night.
Really cool.
Yeah. Stay tuned later this morning for our manager's report coming up at 9 a.m. with Mike Shildt, refreshed by Eco Water SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. Eco Water SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. We'll go through yesterday's action in Major League Baseball that did not involve your San Diego Padres, plus the new controversy brewing among umpires and players after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Islands Restaurants. Just one problem here, a stalled pickup truck in the HOV lane, south on 15, just past Mira Mesa Boulevard. Big on protein, rich on flavor. The new $10 Islands Restaurants protein bowls are here for a limited time, packed with over 40 grams of protein and stacked with fresh ingredients for the flavors you love, just in a bowl. Find your protein paradise at islandsrestaurants.com. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So guess who's red hot all of a sudden? The Colorado Rockies have won 2 in a row. They beat the San Francisco Giants yesterday 4-3, rallying from a 3-1 deficit. First 2 game winning streak of the season for the Rockies, who now are 6-25. I don't know if this diminishes the Padres' wins at all after they swept the Giants. Now the Giants just go on and lose to the Colorado Rockies. Does not a great look, but the Rockies are going to get theirs. Hopefully they just get less of theirs against the Padres than they do against the Giants and Diamondbacks and Dodgers. Padres are 3-0. Giants are now 0-1 against the Colorado Rockies. Probably will bounce back, I would imagine, in the next couple of days.
I would say that's probably a safe bet. Yeah.
But they did get that one yesterday. And the Diamondbacks also played yesterday. They beat the New York Mets 4-2 behind 6 two-hit innings from Zach Gallen, allowing just 1 earned run. I noticed, so someone for the Diamondbacks named Tim Tawa hit a home run yesterday.
Go ahead.
Tim Tawa hit his 5th home run of the season yesterday. Tim Tawa, who plays second base for the Diamondbacks, and I'm going to admit right now, I have never heard of in my life. Tim Tawa has more home runs than Manny Machado, Xander Bogaerts, and Jason Hayward combined.
Wow.
So far this season. Who is Tim Tawa?
Who the fudge is Tim Tawa? I thought you were going to say he hit a towering
home
run.
No, you came up with that one. That was all you, Paulie.
Like, if you
Congratulations.
do this, come over there and slap you.
A towering blast. No, that even didn't occur to me. I was more going can't the Padres have someone, just one random guy, just pop up with 5 home runs like Tim Tawa at some point?
Gavin Sheets.
He has 3. I mean, Luis Ariz has 3. That's pretty good. But the Padres are actually now near the bottom of the league in home runs hit. I think they've only hit 26 all season. That's less than half as many as the league leaders, the New York Yankees. Now, Yankees playing a home run haven of a ballpark, and the lack of power, I don't want to say is risen to the level of like concerning, but certainly be helpful if the Padres hit a few more. It's not like they don't have home run hitters on their roster. Tatis has got his 8, but after that, I mean, it's been a rough go for the Padres to get the ball out of the ballpark so far this season.
Yeah, they're kind of beating the typical way. Like right now, the way the game is played, you kind of live and die with the long ball. They're going the opposite. They're going back a little more old school with the small ball. You saw a lot of base aggressiveness on the base paths earlier in the season. Haven't seen a ton lately. And if you want to draw a conclusion there, like there's a connection between how they've played over the last couple of weeks and what their record shows. I think I can entertain that conversation, but yeah, they have not demonstrated, even in those first 2-3 weeks where they were on fire, they had the ability to hit the long ball, but they weren't depending on the long ball.
Yeah, Tony says they're hitting more line drives. I mean, that is their Petco Park hitting strategy, gap to gap, focusing on line drives.
And can you succeed in today's game all season long by
I don't know.
Not depending on the long
I don't
ball?
know. I mean, the idea is that those line drives, occasionally you lift them a little bit and they go out of the yard because you're hitting them hard. And the most important thing with a home run is actually hitting it hard, not the getting it in the air part. That'll happen or it doesn't happen based on the angle of contact. But you just have to hit the ball hard, which is good. But the Padres just aren't lifting them at all. Now, in past years, as Petco Park is warmed up and summer hits, you generally do see more output from the Padres, but they're lagging behind this year, even lagging behind Tim Tawa on the home run chart. Jeffrey says he's filling in for Ketel Marte while Marte's on the injured list. Yeah, second base, I guess. Just didn't know who he was this season.
5 home runs already?
5 home runs for Tim Tawa. Unless I read it wrong. I did read earlier this week, Adam called me out after the show. I said that Kyle Higashioka hit his 5th home run. It was his 5th double. He only has 1 home run. His numbers actually have not been particularly good offensively for the Rangers this year. So my bad. 3 days later, I will issue that correction that Kyle Higashioka has only 1 home run this season.
Tim Tawa has appeared in 19 games, 5
home runs in 19 games. Wow.
190.
Okay, so he's all power, no average.
787 OPS.
So he's really, if you have if you're 19 games, you've hit 5 home runs and your OPS is under 800, you've literally done nothing other than hit the 5 home runs.
483 slug, 304 on base percentage. Yeah, he's a home run hitter.
I don't know who he is. Let's see. We talked about the Cubs beat the Pirates and Paul Skeens yesterday, 8-3. The Reds bounced back from a doubleheader sweep to beat the Cardinals 9-1 and split their 4-game series. The Nationals rallied from behind against the Phillies, 4-run 6th inning, helping end a 3-game skid. We heard that John Kruk story from that broadcast when Tony Gwynn had him fake arrested in Oregon when they were both playing rookie ball early in their careers in 1981. That was funny. Let's see. Vlad Jr. hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th inning to lift the Blue Jays past the Red Sox 4-2. A's continue to play well. They shut out the Rangers 3-0, 6 2-hit innings from Jeffrey Springs. White Sox avoided a sweep with an 8-0 win over the Brewers. First time the Brewers have been shut out all season long. Padres were on that list until last week when they all of a sudden couldn't score for a few days. But now the Brewers are on the list of teams that have been shut out. Royals beat the Rays 8-2. After the Rays left San Diego, sweeping the Padres, have not won again. They got swept by the Royals. Shane Baz, who was clearly one of the best pitchers in baseball, unhittable, gave up 7 runs to the Royals
yesterday. He got
in that game.
Torched.
So
I'm like, I was at the game on Friday night. He looked unhittable.
He was so good. But no, you put the Royals line up against him, and he is terrible, apparently. So
super cool.
Maybe last week just didn't make a lot of sense if you're a San Diego Padres fan. Guardians beat the Twins in extra innings 4-3. In the Tigers over the Angels 10-4. Whoa, life is tough for the Angels right now. 6th straight loss, and Mike Trout is back on the injured list with a bone bruise. They say no structural damage, but he is back on the IL where he has spent the better part of the last 3 years or so. And he hadn't been hitting actually even before he went on to the IL either, as the Angels were a nice start for like 15 games.
Yeah.
Going, look at the Angels. Lucky Angels, some new team, they've signed some new players and things are going well. They're not going well anymore in Anaheim.
It makes me sad every time I see, which is like every 3 weeks now, it feels like, that I see that Mike Trout has gone on the IL again. He's just one of those guys where you feel like the game is better with him playing. But if you were to say that you're surprised that he landed up on the IL again, I'd call you a fool.
Yeah. I mean, a bone bruise is it's not something, it's probably he just banged it hard against something likely, but that'll happen. But he just has had some bad luck for sure in recent years. But that's not the controversy. I had not heard about this until I read it at sportsillustrated.com yesterday. So apparently pitchers and batters, mostly batters, are kind of up in arms. So this was Eno and Jason Stark and Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic, detailing a story about MLB strike zone. Now, the strike zone has not changed at all. It's still,
Thanks for the heads up, by the way, yesterday, You could have told us all about it.
Going to drop a new story on us last night. So the strike zone is still the strike zone. The plate is the plate. It hasn't gotten bigger or smaller. It's still knees to whatever it is, under the armpits or, a little above the belt, wherever umpires call it. So nothing has changed with the strike zone. However, how umpires are being graded by Major League Baseball has changed. In the past, when they had their performance reviews, if they called a strike and a ball was within 2 inches of the plate, which is not nothing. I mean, a 2-inch buffer is, what about like that? They weren't knocked, by their, Major League Baseball would say, it's fine, it's close enough, you're going to get some of those right, you're going to get some of those
egregious.
wrong. So they knew that, all right, if it's an inch outside, I'm going to be okay if I call that a strike. So you had umpires being a little more generous with their strike zones. But now, under their new CBA with the umpires, they're evaluated on just 3/4 of an inch. That's a pretty big reduction. That's 62.5%. So now a ball that is an inch outside, if they call it a strike, goes up in their performance review as, okay, you made a mistake here. Used to be, you were absolutely fine. So what's the result of that, of course? Umpires are more hesitant to call strikes on balls that they think are borderline on the outside of the plate because they don't want to get dinged in their performance review. And players, especially pitchers, are noticing that they're not getting those pitches quite as often.
That makes
Should they have been getting
sense.
them? Probably not. You shouldn't be getting a pitch that's 2 inches off the zone.
Yeah.
But you were from some umpires because they weren't getting penalized for it. Now they are, which means, it does change the way umpires are calling games behind the plate.
Interesting.
That should lead to something that Major League Baseball always wants, which is more offense. Pitchers have to be more in the zone. Makes it easier for batters to hit.
Calls,
Guys get on base a little bit more. You score runs. That is something that Major League Baseball has been trying to do for
hitters didn't
years.
know this either. So were they like, wow, I'm getting a lot of pitches I can
It's possible.
barrel here, like a lot more than I used to get.
MLB says it discussed the changes with managers at the December winter meetings, but several of the managers the Athletic spoke to said they had no recollection of such a change, despite at least one Padres manager, Mike Shildt, labeling it something that would have been on his radar to make sure players and coaches knew of the change. So this is potentially a bit of an under-the-radar mystery change, even though MLB says, yeah, we told you this was coming. No one seems to remember that they were going to do this or change the way that umpires were evaluated by Major League Baseball. So
if only we had a manager that was joining us in, 7 minutes, and maybe we could ask him about that.
And who was actually quoted in the Athletic piece about this story about not small. Again, I don't want to call it a smaller strike zone, but a smaller enforcement of the strike zone by umpires.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's hard to get mad about it. You were asking
them to get the right calls.
You were asking umpires to be better at their jobs and holding them to stricter standards to be better for their jobs. As fans, I feel like that's something we have screamed about for years. Like, does anyone hold these guys accountable when they call a pitch that's 2 inches off the zone? Well, in the past, the answer was no. They were told they're doing a good job. Yeah, 2 inches off the zone, strike. Yep. You are in the clear. Now you call 1 inch off the zone, and it's like, all right, we're writing that up in your record. Not that I don't know that they get fired but they don't get choice assignments, All-Star games, playoffs, World Series if they don't have a good season, and they make extra money. And obviously, the prestige of working those games is important to umpires. So they don't want to get written up. So they are going to be obviously more careful with their strike calls on balls that are close but not necessarily touching the black on the outside or the inside of the plate. It's a real thing apparently that's going on in Major League Baseball, and one that was at least completely under my radar, and it sounds like it was under the radar of a lot of managers in Major League Baseball so far this season as well. So yeah, we can ask Mike Shildt about that. We will talk to Mike Shildt in our next segment. Our manager's report is just around the corner. He can give us a weather report on what it looks like in Pittsburgh at the moment. I believe they stay right across that bridge from PNC Park. So have a good view of the ballpark. You may already be at the ballpark. Sometimes on these East Coast trips, he calls us from the manager's office.
Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if he was already there.
Yep. So coming up next, final hour of Ben and Woods, kicking off with our manager's report with Mike Shildt. Stay tuned to San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We will be right back. All right, got a lot to get to coming up here with Mike Shildt. Our manager's report is just moments away. Paulie's calling him up right now from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the Padres will open a 3-game series against the Pirates and a 9-game road trip tonight at PNC Park. It's a 3:40 first pitch San Diego time, 2:40 Eco Water SoCal pregame show with Sam Levitt here in San Diego. But right now, our manager's report with Mike Shildt is refreshed by Eco Water SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. Eco Water SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. And we're joined right now by the manager of the San Diego Padres, Mike Shildt. And Mike, last week I was off on Friday, and AJ was on with us. And apparently he made a lot of fun of me while I wasn't here. So with Woods out sick today, the floor is yours if you want to return the favor for Woodsy this week.
No, I think I got on probation last year, so I don't want to. I want to play clean and good in the sandbox. I don't want any rip.
Fair enough. I was lucky enough to run into you on Tuesday when I was in the clubhouse. That was cool. The day Luis Arraez was back, and I wanted to ask you, it looked like you were carrying a piece of pie was that pie you were eating on Tuesday?
No, sir. I don't eat pie.
It wasn't pie.
But I'm not sure.
You don't know?
I'm not sure what it was.
Wasn't all right. I thought it had whipped cream
Ben's
on it.
Ben's been telling us for like 4
it looked
days
like a piece
this
of pie,
week.
and I wanted to ask what you were having, and then I never asked you.
Yeah.
Now you've forgotten what it was you were eating on Tuesday.
No, I don't eat sweets, so I know it wasn't pie.
All right. He doesn't eat sweets. Well, that's healthy. That's a good life choice that we should all
spreading
emulate.
misinformation over here, Ben.
No pie. Apparently not pie. All right. A lot has happened, obviously, since we talked 2 weeks ago, including the Luis Arraez collision at first base. In hindsight, now that he's back, how scary was that moment, and how glad are you to have Louis back on the field now?
Very glad. For a lot of reasons. I mean, look, just from a safety standpoint, just a health standpoint, concern for him, the human side of it. Man, we had a nasty collision. You get out there, and we don't see a lot of collisions like that in our game. And, I've done this for a while and seen some, mostly like hit by pitches up in the head region that are really super scary. But, that was you get out there and, he was still coming back to regaining conscious when I got there. So, and he was just still. He was completely still, as everybody saw. And it's like, oh man, wait a minute, what are we dealing with here? And so he kind of got back to us and started moving, a little bit. And so clearly that was a relief. And so we played the game, and the guys found a way to bring it home, but with a heavier heart. And immediately after the game, everybody's concerns for Louis, and thankfully, he'd gotten back from the hospital, and initial testing had checked out cognitively and from a CT standpoint physically. So that was a huge relief. We got to see him. Louis is a big hugger. So it was like, don't hug him too hard, But then the week was, rightfully went into concussion protocol and was able to get through that, in the 7 days, got the extra day on Monday to kind of get through, got them back to baseball activity, towards that end of that whole, that week leading into the Giant series, and I was able to get back healthy and back to Luis Arraez, who we love in all phases.
So glad to have him back. Now, you guys are in Pittsburgh tonight, PNC Park, and I know certain guys like hit well in certain parks. They just like maybe the batter's eye. They feel comfortable there. I got this stat, though, from your guy, Darren Feeney, and this was amazing. So I don't even know if you know this one. He says you have managed 30 games at PNC Park in your career. You are 25-5 in those games. That is the highest winning percentage in the history of baseball among any manager at any major league park. You are ahead of Jim Muttrey, who went 26-6 at Metropolitan Park, and George Wright, who was 34-8 at the Messer Street grounds. Do managers feel comfortable in certain? Do they have a really good visiting clubhouse or office that you just really like it there at PNC Park, Mike?
I can't answer that. I like all the ballparks. The guys here are great. Kevin, the clubhouse guy's phenomenal. I enjoy the stadium. I like the city. Who's to say? Let's just figure out a way to win tonight and have a good series.
All right, you'll have Dylan Cease on the mound tonight. And I don't know, to me, he looks a lot like, Dylan Cease from last season, but the results haven't been quite there. What are you seeing from Dylan? What are you looking from him for tonight? Anything different, or just you feel like if he keeps doing the same stuff, it's going to start working out a little bit better?
I think he's continues to get closer. He's, listen, we have, as does Bill, and high expectations, right? So anything short of those, it's like, what's wrong? And you still watch the stuff coming out, and a lot of balls fell in Sacramento. So that skewed a lot of his numbers, but outside of that game, he's done more than his fair share to keep us in every game. And so, I think he's been able to give us a chance. And the big thing probably he's still working on just the consistency and, being able to repeat that plus slider he's got. I think that's been one of the bigger keys for him, is being able to get that to a good place where it's got the late depth. It's looking like a strike out of the hand that either ends up, in a good part of the strike zone or just off that creates, even more soft contact, which he gets a ton of. And this guy's really hard to barrel. No one's really barreled him. And that's the part that clearly is encouraging. But to get back to the swing and miss slider.
Talking to Mike Shildt. All right, it's our manager's report, refreshed by Eco Water SoCal. And I don't believe that at least the team has officially announced any starter beyond tonight. I know you're going to need a fifth starter here with 6 games in a row on this road trip. And there's also some weather possible in Pittsburgh the next couple of days. And I'm sure that all factors in. What's kind of the idea, the pitching plan going forward for this road trip?
Yeah, we'll have Vasquez start tomorrow, and then we'll go TBD on Sunday, and then we'll pick up with Pavetta, King, and Cease in New York.
All right, Pavetta and King to start the series in New York, so they'll figure it out on Sunday. That's a little news from Mike Shildt here. Tonight is also, Mike, your first Apple TV game of the season. You've already had a couple of the ESPN Sunday night games where they, interview you between innings and they mic up players. There's some extra segments and work. How do those work for you? Are they inconvenient, or maybe you like them? I mean, what's it like when you get those national TV broadcasts?
When the game starts, we're just playing the game. You don't know whether, at least for me, you're aware it's Sunday night baseball because you're playing later in the day on Sunday. So, but once the game starts, it's not like, hey, this is, I'm not overly thoughtful about it. The only thing different is, to your point, Ben, is the interviews. And I don't mind the interview in between an inning. We set it up earlier in the game. So, because a lot of times in between innings, especially as we get later in the games, there's conversations, decisions that need to be made. So clearly don't want those compromised. But earlier in the game's fine. Typically there's not anything that, we can. The only challenge I've had in the past is, when they try to do it like during the game. And so that hasn't taken place as much over the last couple of years. But, years ago, there was a situation where during the game, they wanted to do an interview, and, we started off and Bader hit a double, and I was like, I got to go, I got to go manage the game.
I can see that. I can see
that. Love that too much. But, anyway, it's fine, to have the in-game interview and access is important to our game. And we'd also recognize that, how this game works. We're only here for, from the access that we are able to give to the fans, and they're a part of how and why we are able to do this. So want to make sure that we're grateful for that and giving what we can.
Well, we talked to Tricia Whitaker this morning earlier, and she's presumably the one who will be interviewing you for Apple. She seemed like a big fan, and she was looking forward to it, to seeing you tonight. So be nice to her, because she was nice to us.
I'm nice to everyone.
I know you are. I know you always are. All right,
try my best at least.
I mentioned your record at PNC Park. I did my own research for this one, and I know you're a baseball history buff. I've heard you talk about Jackie Robinson and the Negro Leagues, and you've just been in the game for so long. So the next stop on this trip, Monday, Yankee Stadium. And I looked it up. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have never managed a big league game at Yankee Stadium. Is that something that you are looking forward to, checking off maybe the bucket list?
Yeah, that's cool. It really is. It's an unbelievable privilege to have the job that I have, especially for the San Diego Padres. And everything is so great about the Friar Faithful and the city of San Diego and Petco Park and of course, I get a chance to work with AJ, who I love, and top of the list is the kind of players we have. So that you just get so grateful for all the different things, and personally don't make it about me, but yeah, it is cool. Last year I've been to just the way the quirky schedules work out. COVID was got things a little sideways for the ability to go manage in some different places, and last year was able to go to Baltimore, which is really cool to me because that's where my, mom and dad are from, that area. And my dad proposed my mom at the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. So that was super cool. And yeah, the history of the Yankees, it's, the last ballpark that I have not managed in against the historic team. But I look forward to it.
Talking to Padres manager Mike Shildt this morning on Ben and Woods. It's the Manager's Report brought to you by Eco Water SoCal. Mike, we were talking earlier about Luis Rise. You had Jason Hayward return to the lineup this week as well. Still missing quite a few guys, most notably, Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, Brandon Lockridge, Yu Darvish behind them. Did any of those guys make the trip yet? I saw that there has been some action out in Arizona, some game action. I'm just curious if there's any updates. I know you did talk about it on Wednesday after the game, but has anything changed in the last 48 hours with any of those guys?
They're still moving to a good spot. They're all getting closer, some closer than others, but they're all getting close, and all are tracking to be able to join us. Locke, Jackson, and Crony to join us at some point on this trip. And so we're encouraged by all that.
All right. I wanted to ask you this, and I'm curious because this is one of your longer road trips, 3 cities, East Coast. What's your hotel routine on the road? First of all, do you unpack everything every city, or do you just keep it in the suitcase because you're going to have to move on? Do you make like coffee or tea in the room with the little pods they give you, or do you go downstairs, just get it at the ballpark? And how often do you order room service, if you ever do, at the team hotel?
Okay. Well, I can unpack. Be happy to share.
Well, or not unpack, as it were.
Yeah, that's fair. Reasonable. On the packing front, I carry 2 bags, and if you've done this a while like I have, you kind of get used to the scene. I always wear a sport coat on the road because I think it represents the team appropriately. And, always hang that up with the shirt. So that's ready to go for the next trip. And then, I pack really pretty lightly. I carry my own pillow because hotel pillows can be
very true,
clearly different.
Yeah.
So I keep continuity there. Sleep's important. And then, I don't drink coffee or tea.
Okay.
I'm not a huge breakfast guy. So effectively, days off are a little bit different. But in our schedule, I got here today at the ballpark at the hotel at 10 o'clock. Woke up, read a little bit of Bible. If you really are curious about my consistency of my routine.
They usually have one in every hotel room.
Yeah, I think they do. I carry my own.
Nice.
But,
all right.
But yeah. And so then I walk over to the ballpark and get ready. So, and my first meal is usually the meal at the ballpark around 1 o'clock or so. I don't know if I answered everything.
You did. Well, no room service then, because you eat in at the ballpark and you don't have breakfast.
Room service is typically on a day off.
Yeah.
But more, like yesterday, I'd prefer to go get something locally, get out, move around a little bit, enjoy the city I'm in to a degree, and then only time I'll typically do room service is if we've traveled, we get in kind of a little bit later and I'm still a little bit hungry. I might grab some wings or something.
Last thing for me, Shildt, and I think I know the answer that you're going to give. I'm just curious though. Now, in 3 tilts with the Pirates, 2 last year and the 1 you're about to start later today, you guys have missed Paul Skeens, one of the top pitchers in baseball. Do you look at that and go, glad we missed that guy? Or do you and your guys go, I want the best. I want to take this guy on. I'm just curious when you saw that you probably weren't going to have to face him again this weekend.
A little both, quite frankly. I love the competition. Our guys enjoy it. You know, you want to compete. You want everybody. You want to be healthy. You want the other team to be healthy. You want everybody at their best, and and then everybody gets their best shot at it. And we have missed him the last 3 series we played this club. They come to our place, so we'll see what that looks like. But I'd like to see him. I'd like to compete against him. But we'll take it as it comes.
Mike, really appreciate it. Good answers today, and have a good road trip. Good luck to the team, and we'll see you when you guys get back to San Diego in about a little under 2 weeks. It's going to be a long one. Good luck.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Always enjoy our time. Appreciate you guys.
There he is, Mike Shildt, manager of the San Diego Padres, and our manager's report refreshed by Eco Water SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. Eco Water SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. And right at the end of the interview, the lights went off in the studio because, and we mentioned this before.
This has happened before. When
Paulie and I are not fidgety people. We both sit rather still, and the lights are on motion sensors. Woods, when he is here, the lights have never, ever, ever gone off, not once. But usually on days when he's off, at some point during the show, the lights will turn off because Paulie and I tend to sit normally still in our chairs for 4 hours. That's just what happens. I just noticed
it was it's 9:16. It was about 15-minute timers. My guess that these lights, they go off automatically unless you just kind of wiggle your arms, throw your arms up, then they'll turn back on. That has never happened. They have never turned off with Stephen Woods in the studio.
So now I have no idea what Mike was eating because there was a dollop of something. Right. Maggie says maybe it was sour cream. If he doesn't eat any sweets at all, it wasn't pie. He doesn't eat any sweets. That's good. I mean, it's healthy. It's good. Man takes his own pillow on the road. That is such a savvy move because I always get to the hotel and the pillows are never right. There's either not enough for me, they're too soft for me. I never think of taking my own pillow on the road. That is such a veteran move by Mike Shildt.
I think we were lied to this morning by Mike Shildt. I think we were lied. He sounded like I sound to my wife when I'm on vacation, when we're on the road or something. I don't like sweets. I never eat pie. Are you kidding me? No, I woke up, honey. I had a salad and I washed that down with a kale smoothie. And
who does he have to lie to? I don't know.
I don't know, but he's like, I don't like breakfast. I don't like them cinnamon rolls. I'm like, what?
Apparently not.
What? I think he was lying to us.
He did tell us something, though, and I think he was telling us the truth. So Randy Vasquez will pitch tomorrow, but then TBD, and as we speculated yesterday and approved of, Nick Pivetta will bounce back to Monday, so he and Michael King and Dylan Cease can go 1-2-3 against the Yankees in that series at Yankee Stadium next week. So we have most of the next 6 games covered. It's still just Sunday will be the TBD, whether they call up someone, Kyle Hart, go with the bullpen day, go with the Ryan Bergert, who's already on the roster. They have a number of options, and I imagine how the next 2 games go could also determine the course of action. But a little breaking news there from Mike Shildt ahead of the start of this road trip. We'll react more to the interview, take a quick timeout, come back. We also have some more of those boxing tickets to give away to the big bout coming to Pechanga Arena in less than 10 days. That is all coming up next in Reindl Report after traffic here with Kelly Danick on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Before we head off to the weekend, though, I want to encourage everybody to check out sdfatloss.com. Even if you aren't looking to lose weight, I promise you have a loved one who you've been trying to nudge. My wife was nudging me for a while. My mom was nudging me for a while. And you kind of have to come to it yourself. I'm so glad I found sdfatloss.com, though. Really changed my life. I lost 40 pounds in 60 days. That is not atypical. They do expect you to lose up to a pound of fat per day and 10 to 20% of your body weight during their 60-day program. And then when it was done, I felt so much better. Lighter on my feet, less back pain. I could exercise. You don't have to exercise to lose the weight. But I actually wanted to once I was done because I felt so much better. So I've been Pelotoning. You can walk the entire 18 holes, no problem, not out of breath anymore. It is such a difference maker for me. And I love that it was based on real foods because I hated the bars and I hated the shakes when I did other programs and didn't have to do that. I ate chicken, I ate steak, I ate vegetables. I lost the weight. You can do it as well safely with no drugs or injections. Just the great support from the counselor that you'll get at the sdfatloss.com program. It is developed by doctors. It works. It worked for me. It worked for Scraby. It worked for Ello. Worked for John down the hall. So many tier ones. It can work for you as well. Just set up your free consultation, sdfatloss.com. Get $200 off here. Still, spring special, month of May at sdfatloss.com. Results may vary.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Down to our final two segments of the week. Wishing Woodsy the best. Speedy return on Monday morning. Let us know he was a little under the weather, and that's why he's not here today. We will have a Reindl Report coming up for you. Headlines in our final segment of the day, but I want to thank again Mike Shildt, the manager of the San Diego Padres. Seemed like he was in a pretty good headspace to start this road trip. I'm sure the wins over the San Francisco Giants did not hurt this week to get his team back on track, and the idea that Jackson Merrill, if not immediately returning, certainly sounds like is very close. You tried to wheedle it out of him. I was going to go the same direction. Like, are they on the trip with you? Are they there? He didn't really say. He made it sound like, again, what he said on Wednesday, that they
could be joining them at
the final.
some point.
They're in the final stages, and they do expect they are near the finish line of their rehab. But is any of them at the team hotel right now? Like, if we started calling rooms, would one Jackson Merrill be there? Would one Brandon Lockridge be there?
Did Jackson Merrill get on the team plane on Wednesday, or did he have to fly?
More? Did he have Arizona? I don't know if I think he was still in Arizona.
He was already in Arizona.
He probably would be meeting them wherever he was going from Phoenix Airport, not from San Diego.
Darvish, I mean, he just threw a bullpen. Is he in Arizona getting some work in?
Getting a little closer. Jake's supposed to start in about a week or so, I believe, with his rehab in Arizona. So, didn't give us that, but did give us the pitching layout for the next few days, which was interesting. TBD now on Sunday with Pivetta, King, and Cease lined up to face the New York Yankees. And seemed like he was excited to get to manage. I think he say he's managed every other ballpark now, and Yankee Stadium was the last one on his list. Told the nice story about how his mom and dad got engaged at the old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. That was probably pre-Jumbotron proposal days. I'd imagine it was just an at-the-game proposal, not one where you're on camera in front of the whole stadium at that point.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that was that's more of a social media modern 21st century proposal, and probably did not happen that way. But kind of nice story that a Major League Baseball manager, his parents got engaged at a Major League Baseball ballpark back in the day. All right, I did say we had some tickets to give away, and we do have one more pair of tickets to Top Rank Boxing Presents Navarrete versus Suarez at Pechanga Arena on May 10th. If you want to start calling now, you can. We'll take the sixth caller today at 833-288-0973. Three-time division champ Emmanuel Vaquero Navarrete defending his world title against unbeaten Filipino warrior Charlie Suarez, Saturday, May 10th, Pechanga Arena. And in the co-main, Southern California's own Raymond Muratalla battles Zaur Abdelayev for the interim lightweight crown. It's a night of world-class action you don't want to miss. Again, Saturday, May 10th at Pechanga Arena, San Diego. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com, but you can win them by calling right now at 833-288-0973. All right, we'll take time out while Paulie answers the phones, and then he'll get you ready for a Reindl Report. Anything to tease?
Anything
for the Reindl Report?
The headline is just stupid criminal, and it happened in Pittsburgh. So we can talk about that.
Pittsburgh. I like that. It's related to where the Padres are right now.
Phillies and Braves are doing something stupid.
All right.
Play all about it.
Dumb stuff coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
I need a haircut.
Ooh, so do I.
Yeah, I can start when it starts poking out from my headphones on the YouTube stream. The problem is with my new schedule. I used to have plenty of time in the middle of the day to go at like 11 a.m. and get a haircut, and then I go back to Channel 10. But now I usually go straight from here to Channel 10, and then I don't get home until long after haircut time, around 6:37 p.m. So either weekends or got to take a day off now to get a haircut or something. Got to get that scheduled. So, you want to look sharp on television. And not that I don't look, I look okay. I feel like the hair is starting to get over the ears.
You want to look sharp?
I want to look sharp, yeah. That's why I'm wearing this snazzy 10 News polo right now, Paulie.
Yeah,
I know you're
nothing says sharp like a free work polo.
very jealous, I'm sure.
You were given.
This hour of Ben and Woods is brought to you by Frozen Rope San Diego.
I got a Sedano Ford polo over here, actually, if you want to.
Does he just leave it in the studio for putting it on whenever he needs to? He doesn't even take that thing home?
No.
Okay. Hey, parents, here's a message from Coach Kurt at Frozen Ropes. Is your child 6 to 12 years old? Then Baseball Summer League is the perfect fit for your players. Starting June 16th through August 17th, Summer League includes 8 practices and 8 games. Register by April 30th and save $100. Go to San Diego. Oh, wait, after April 30th already.
Oh.
Change the copy again, Paulie. Go to SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. I'm sure you'll get all the details there. You will also get all the details of stories that we have missed so far this morning from Paul Reindl, the Reindl Report, to wrap things up this week after our last check of traffic with Kelly here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Our morning commute is wrapping up on a pretty good note here. Just one problem. Southbound side of the 15 to the 163 got a collision in the center divide. And Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah?
All right. Happy Friday.
Right.
Benjamin.
Happy Friday, Paulie.
We have made it. Almost there.
Take your time. Explore the space here in the Reindl Report. I'm just gonna listen and enjoy what you have to present here over these last 16 minutes or so. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ben, for how you stalled as we sit here on a Friday in San Diego, California at 9:38 in the morning and try to lengthen this out as long as we can to 9:53. All right, we'll
15 and a half minutes.
We had some breaking news in the NBA today. There were some results from yesterday. Biggest storyline last night. Clippers forcing a game 7.
They did it. My son was very happy. We were watching the game last night. They almost blew a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter, but got it done. I thought it was interesting before you get to your breaking news. Apparently, Tyronn Lue, the coach of the Clippers, decided as his motivational tactic. Hey, season's over if we lose, guys. Should probably be motivation enough. Called every single one of his players individually on the phone the night before the game. I don't know that I've ever heard that strategy before. I mean, you're going to see them all when they get there, and you're going to have a team meeting, and you could probably call them in individually. But he spent like hours apparently on the phone chatting with each of them for several minutes about how big the game was and how important it was. And well, they responded. I mean, Norman Powell from San Diego was fantastic in the third quarter. I mean, he was
you
playing.
You can just say Norman Powell. You don't always have to say Norman Powell from San Diego.
But how would you know he's from San Diego if I didn't say
Nobody cares.
that? Kawhi Leonard was
from Riverside.
Also very good. Also went to San Diego State and was very, very good and has been good the whole postseason.
That's just I understand why you do it. I understand it's embedded into your
James Harden,
veins.
who has nothing
Arizona
to do
State?
with San Diego whatsoever, as far as I know. He's probably been here a couple of times. Also had a good game.
So this story really comes as no surprise if you've been following along at all. But the breaking news in the last 30 minutes or so is that Greg Popovich has announced that he will be stepping down and no longer being the head coach of the San Antonio Spurs. He has been dealing with a long list of health issues over the last year or so. He will be staying in the front office. In fact, he's going to be transitioning from head coach to full-time team president of basketball operations for the Spurs. So he's been there for, what has it been, like 25 years at least that he's been the head coach?
I think, yeah. He has been head coach since 1996, 1997, so just under 30 years. Wow. And before that, he was GM or in the front office in 1994. So over 30 years in the organization, and he's not leaving the organization. But yeah, had a mild stroke on November 2nd and did not return.
Never made it back, yeah.
Mitch Johnson, who is the interim coach, will remain on, I believe, as the new head coach.
Yes, they have already announced that he has been hired to the full-time coach now of the Spurs.
Remember, there was for a few years there was talk that the next coach of the Spurs in waiting could be Becky Hammon, but Pop stayed along so long that she ended up taking a job as a head coach in the WNBA, where I think she's done quite well. But so Mitch Johnson gets that job. Pop, who I've always liked, he was the coach at my little Division III college a couple of years before I got there, before he was famous at all, but has never really changed. He cares not. He's like Mike Shildt, but with basketball. Really cares about nothing other than basketball. Like all the time, all day. Doesn't really have much of a personal life. The only thing that he likes, expensive wine. That's the one thing that he uses like all of his salary on, is just buying good wine, and otherwise it's basketball 24/7.
Now I saw this story in Major League Baseball, Talkin' Baseball, part of the John Boy Network. They had this story, and it says per Jeff Passan, and I have not seen anything else, so I don't know anything else about it. So I don't know if this is even real or not. But Talkin' Baseball said yesterday, breaking news: Blooper and the Philly Fanatic. We're talking mascots here.
Blooper is the
Braves
mascot.
And the Philly Fanatic, you know what team he's the mascot
for? The Phillies, yeah. I was clear on that one.
Yeah, Blooper and the Philly Fanatic have agreed to fight in a 3-round boxing match that will take place before the Braves-Phillies game on May 27th at Citizens Bank Park, per Jeff Passan. And they said, who you got? Is that, if you're a fan of, I guess, the Phillies fan, maybe some Braves fans on that trip as well. It's in Philadelphia. Does that do anything for you? Are you going to make sure you're in your seats 30 minutes before first pitch so that you can watch the Philly Fanatic and Blooper, the Braves mascot, in a 3-round boxing match.
Christian in the chat says it's fake. I don't know. I know that Blooper's ears looks like the Philly Fanatic's nose, so they could be cousins in like some sort of weird sense.
When I looked it up and like was trying to Google and see if there were any other stories about it, nothing came up, so I thought maybe that's fake. And then you put,
I don't know. I mean, you have those those battles where you get in the big rolly balls and you can like bounce against each other. I mean, mascot costumes are so big and padded. I don't think you can really fight someone in them unless you're totally suspending reality and you're pretending that they're actual, like some sort of creatures that are fighting each other. But mostly, they're just awkward guys or gals, even in big oversized costumes. Not to spoil the dream for anybody who thought they were real creatures, but they're not. Did you know, Paulie? Did you know this?
Yes.
The Padres used to have a mascot called Blooper as well. Now they spelled it Bluepper.
Yes.
He replaced the beloved San Diego Chicken in 1992.
That's right.
And it was blue because the Padres were changing to the blue uniforms at the time. No one really liked Blooper. You don't want to be the one that tries to replace the San Diego Chicken. And then the Fryer came back and everything was okay. But Blooper
you want to be the guy that replaces the guy.
Blooper was pretty much a disaster. Kind of looked like Goofy from Disney, but in a Padres uniform, but with a blue head. It was not a good look.
Not a great mascot.
Yeah.
All right, and then finally, the Padres are in Pittsburgh, getting ready to take on the Pirates this weekend. Got a story here out of Pittsburgh, some road rage that led to quite a scene. Reading here from the DelcoTimes.com, Delco, and they're calling her, let's see, this woman, Christina Salametto, 44-year-old woman, was arrested. There was some road rage. She was cut off. And she ended up getting in front of the other car. And like, look, you live in the time in this world where you never know if anybody's got a weapon. Like I tend to kind of just chill with road rage. I used to be a lot more angry than I am now on the road. I'm like, bro, it's just, you never know what somebody's going to do. It's just not worth it. She was so upset at this driver that she got out of her car, ran over to the other car, and went to the bathroom on the hood of this person's car, and she was arrested and charged with indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, criminal mischief, and depositing waste on the highway.
It's funny when it comes to road rage. I generally go with I'd say the Ron
number 2,
the Ron Burgundy philosophy. Like if someone cuts me off, but they do it quickly and efficiently, it's like I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. Like, wow, nice job. I mean, you really took a tiny space, jumped right in front of me, and you pulled that off. Good job. Like I really don't get road raged. If I'm behind a car at a stoplight and they're not going because I know they're probably looking at their phone, I'll go, I'll just wait here for a minute or two. I mean, as long as you don't make me miss the stoplight, I'll let you finish whatever you're tweeting out or something. Take your time. It's fine. I will eventually get to the next light and it'll be exactly the same. I didn't really lose any time. I am one of the most laid back drivers I think you can imagine.
I think so.
Yeah.
I've only been in a car with you like twice.
The only thing that really bothers me is when people aren't aggressive enough driving. Like I was getting on the freeway by Channel 10 yesterday, and the car in front of me just would not accelerate. And I was going,
that's infuriating.
I was going, you have to go faster. We're about to merge. We've got like 40 feet to merge onto the 94 where everyone's going 80.
Bro,
you're going 30 and I can't get around you. And now I'm in danger because you are not driving aggressively enough. Get a little internal road rage going, hit that accelerator and let's move it, buddy. Don't be so careful when you're getting onto the freeway. You're causing trouble for all of us behind you. That's the only thing that gets me kind of going is when people are too cautious on the roads.
Got you all fired up. I kind of like it.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing more infuriating than you're on the freeway, especially when there's not even that much traffic, and you're like, "Why are we doing 54 miles an hour? Let's go, let's go!"
Yeah, and especially if you're in the left lane, like, what are you doing? If there's a lane just for you, it's way over on the right. You can go 55 all you want in that lane, but over here with the regular people, we're going 75 or 80 over here because that's what makes sense, and you're going with the flow of traffic.
And that's your Reindl Report on a Friday.
Fail.
I know. Still got 5 minutes. What are we gonna do?
Fail. All right. Let's empty out the notes here. What do we got? Bill Shaken from the LA Times asked the question, Paulie.
I need to find another story.
Should the Dodgers be load managing their position players? Because, of course, they are so good and so shoo-ins to make the playoffs that should they take a page from the NBA and be giving, a week off to Freddie Freeman here or there. Take a series off Mookie Betts and stop pressing these guys to feel like they have to post and be out there every single day. Wouldn't it be more smart of the Dodgers to say, don't worry about your numbers. Don't worry about playing 152 games. We're fine. You play 115, 120. We'll let some of the younger guys play a little bit more. We have no concern about winning enough games to get to the playoffs. Not going to chase, the dream of 120 wins. Let's just cruise into the playoffs with 102 and have everybody as rested and healthy as possible. What do you think of that potential strategy for the Dodgers?
I just am still in the mindset of you pretty much go as much as you can until that playoff berth is clinched. You clinch your division, you clinch the playoff berth, then you can let up on the brakes just a little bit, right? I still want my guys tuned up a little bit before, we talk about it every September, like that last week. Hey, this team's been clinched for 9 days. Is that too much time off? And I think it is. I think there is something to that, but
I know that if the Padres were ever in the incredible position where they felt so overwhelmingly confident they were going to go to the playoffs, and they told Manny Machado, Manny, we want you to take some time off. Manny would have none of that.
No,
There's just no chance that he would accept that.
Baseball players, they've been playing every day for their entire professional careers. I think that's just how they're wired.
People are calling for the topic wheel or for things Ben likes. We haven't really done that here in 2025. Tried to move on from such crutches at the end on Friday. Are you still working on
We're almost
stuff?
ready for the newest edition, actually.
Really? You didn't debut it today? Well, Woods would want to be here for that.
You can't. Yeah, I got to wait.
You can't debut a new things Ben likes. What have I liked recently? Give me just a taste of one or two.
I'll give you. How about your last?
Give me. What are the last? I can't even remember.
I got to go to things Ben likes.
What do I like? Because I like everything. I even like Road Rage and Bad Drivers, apparently.
Can use all those later. Let's see here.
I like having Nick Pivetta on the mound. Well, we all like it. I like to walk. I really do. I do like to walk. I like to eat. Chris says, whereas Ben likes a big old English D. I do remember saying that one when they played the Detroit Tigers. I like that logo, though. It's a good logo.
I saved that one.
I guarantee you saved. There's no way you missed that one, Paulie. There's absolutely no way you missed that one.
No, you know what? Actually, I went back. It was something like you said, I enjoy it, or
I didn't say I enjoy,
or I love. Maybe you didn't say like. But.
Well, here I now we'll give it to you clean. I like a big old English D.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because I do.
Very much.
I do, and that's an honest statement from me. I wasn't just throwing it in there so you could add it to things Ben likes. I do actually enjoy it. It's one of my favorite logos in baseball.
Told us that.
It bothers it we just faced the Giants. You're wearing your Padres hat. Interlocking SD.
Mm-hmm.
Interlocking SF is just pretty much the exact same thing as the interlocking SD. Just change the D to an F.
The LA.
It's interlocking LA. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but at least Detroit kind of makes the D their own. And, it's different than all the other D's and hat logos. It's very different than the D on your hat. Totally different D. Big D's, little D's. Everyone has their own shape of D in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. Tell me all about the shapes of D's.
You know, a little letter D. That's what we're talking about.
Like a lowercase D, it hangs to the left. Uppercase D to the right.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you ever have trouble when you were little getting the D's and the B's going the right direction? Like,
no.
When you wrote them, the B was always, you just did it. It was easy.
I learned if you go like this, bed, like think of like a bed. You got your B is your left hand, and then the D.
Whoa, that is so cool. It's like
it's
like the headstand of a bed, and on the left side is the B, and the right side is the D.
Yeah.
That is awesome. What a great way to end the week. Paulie.
News you can use.
You blew
right
my
here
mind
on
to
Ben
end the
Woods.
week. All right, we will hopefully see Woodsy on Monday morning, hopefully after some wins over the Pirates or Paulie. I'm Ben. Braden's next. Have a great Friday, everybody, from all of us here at The Fan.